weeks down, and it feels like 10 million to go. It's race 3 of the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. So far, it's been an all East Coast affair with trips to Daytona Beach, Long Pond, Pennsylvania, and now NASCAR's hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. Today's race is 130 laps around the high-banked 1.5-mile oval that has as much history as any other track on NASCAR's schedule, and it provides a great canvas for multi-groove racing. Hi, everybody, and good afternoon here in the simulator. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn and Hunter Sleppy for today's race. Daytime running here, Connor. It's going to change the game this evening with a field of 49 B-Series cars in the third round of the season.
Yeah, certainly going to change the game. It's going to make it way different from what we saw Monday night and Tuesday night. And I think from a driver's standpoint, everyone wants to run during the daytime when the track's hot and slick. It really lets the best drivers in the series shine. And I think we'll see no different. This is usually when this race is ran for the Pro Series. So this should be no different for the drivers who have won this race and ran this race. James Scioli is the only two-time winner at this racetrack. He went back-to-back seasons 3 and 4. Last season, Shane Therian used tire strategy near the end of the race to take the checkered flag from 35th starting position. Anything can happen. It's been wild the last 2 seasons with the caution count and with the track hot and slick once again, Hunter. Tonight we'll see how crazy it might get with the track temp over 130 degrees. Way different from what we've seen all week.
You mentioned it. It's been wild for the last 2 seasons, and it's been wild for the last 2 races here for Area. We've had photo finishes in both the Cup and the trucks. 1/1000th of a second on Monday, 2/1000ths of a second on Tuesday. Kyle, if the trends are trending in the right direction, tonight's finish should be by 3/1000ths of a second.
Well, hopefully the trends are trending. Great finish to Tuesday night's race, and a great race in general, and a great finish on Monday night. And I think it's totally possible. I think in both those races, there was a lot of strategy that led up to this point. And Connor, tonight, with the track being so hot, we're going to see a lot more tire fall off than we've seen in the rest of the race here this week. And that means that strategy is going to be a huge deal. The challenge and the question remains, will the field spread out long enough to get green flag runs where that strategy will play out?
We'll just have to wait and see. Like we said last season, Shane Therian's victory from 35th did not come without strategy, but it wasn't really taking no tires or 2 tires, staying out, fuel only. It wasn't that type of strategy. It was basically the strategy of, do I have a set of tires left? That's what these drivers are going to be focusing on tonight. If we come down to the end of it, you need that set of tires for the last maybe 20, 30 laps of the race, just in case. We've seen tire fall off in practice over 20 laps, up to 2 seconds worth of fall off, and this is a tight field, so any advantage is going to matter. The whole field, first place to 48th place, separated by less than a second, actually less than 9/10ths of a second now. So having that set of tires when the fall off is so big, if you have that set of tires, even have 2 tires near the end of the race, it could make the difference. It could win you the race like it won Shane Therian in the race last season.
And it wasn't just last season, it's been a trend here for Charlotte. The average of last yellows at this track for the Pro Series is 11 to go. Season 2 to Season 4, we had yellows within the last 10 laps. Last season was around 15 to go when we had the last yellow. So tire wear is going to be a major concern. And yeah, you're probably going to want to save a set of tires just in case there is that late race caution.
The entire field in practice is within 8.5 of a second. Not Rafe Sladoff, who's down at the bottom of the order right now. You've got the entire field within 0.6 of a second. It is a huge field, Connor, with how tight everybody is. What is the strategy for qualifying? Is there some trick or tip that the drivers that are down in the bottom of the order should try to get figured out here? Because it's going to be thousandths between in or out tonight for the open drivers.
It's just going to have to be a smooth lap. There's not as much more to it when the track temp's this high. You can't really send it into a corner like you want to. You're going to go diving hard down into turn number 1. It is not going to stick whether you hit the paint line or not. You're going to slide up the racetrack just like we just saw someone at a turn number 4 do. We're going to see a lot of that probably during the race as well. Drivers struggling to stay out of that outside wall. So these drivers, they should really need to focus on getting a smooth lap down. Even for those open drivers, that just might be enough to get into the race, because I think we're going to see a lot of drivers kind of throw their one and only lap away because of how slick it's going to be. It's going to be very tough to get out of these corners.
Yeah, also going to watch out for the exit of turn 4. Monday night we saw Garrett Grant go through the last corner of the Roval layout, and it took his car completely off the ground, and it was broken and went back into traffic. And yeah, there were a lot of major wrecks on that part of the racetrack, the front stretch heading into turn 1 and then off turn 4 on Monday night. Tuesday night was chaotic, but hopefully we'll get a smoother layout of this race tonight.
Checker flag here in practice before we head into qualifying. Race fans, make sure that you're subscribed to the Area iRacing Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Area iRacing. As a subscriber, you've got those Area iRacing emotes to use in the chat, and you can earn double channel points that you'll use to redeem for free merchandise for just $5 a month. Join today, twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Well, with that important qualifying session here, it is a revolving door at the top of the order here, Connor. It's a short qualifying session, 5 minutes. It is hot out there. Do you want to wait a second to go and kind of know what your benchmark is, or should you go right out of the gate and try to get it done quickly?
I think you need to go right away. Track temp's clear. There's not a cloud in the sky, so you're not going to catch a cloud in this 5-minute session. And it's not going to get any cooler on the track either, since the sim time is pretty much around noon. So it's still going to be heating up at this point. So it's not like it was last night and Monday night, or Tuesday night and Monday night, when things were kind of cooling off and you could wait maybe 2-3 minutes to maybe get one less track temp on the track. It's still heating up. It's going to get faster and faster, so you should just get your lap down, get it over with, as Levi Heilman is going to try to do the same thing. Really struggled on his out lap through 3 and 4. That's one thing you got to do on that high line, get the run off the corner to get a big dive into turn number 1 and have as much speed there as possible. Then you're just trying to hold on for dear life, hold the bottom blue and white line, and just get out of the corner, and you might be able to start top 20 tonight.
Just as long as you don't slide up on corner exit or even clip too much of that front stretch grass, that could eliminate your lap time. As here's Heilman going through turn 4, sliding up. Oh, man.
Wow. Close to the wall out of 4. Heilman's time is going to count it to 31.460. And that was a shrug there from Heilman. I don't know how he felt about that. It didn't land him very high up on the order. Jeff Wright to the top at a great-looking Lowe's livery, and Blaze McKinney goes to the top, and that revolving door, Connor, like we suggested, is there already.
I'm already seeing some driver struggle. I saw Jeremy Miller slide through turn 1 on his lap, so he's going to just coast across the line with a bad lap. He'll start near the rear. Philip Groner, 31.198, goes top of the board. He's been on fire so far this season. Zachary Carr, he hasn't had luck this season for the most part. He'll try to have a good starting position, and we'll see where he goes on the board. Justin Munso's coming around as well. JT Poole went 2nd. Zachary Carr went 5th, like we talked about. Like you said, Kyle, the revolving door over and over again. People jumping up and down the timing sheet as Munso goes across the line 31st, and he's still going to fall back. Not what he wanted.
Yeah, a lot of names flashing up here with half the time gone in qualifying. Groner's still on the pole. Still have a handful or so guys to go out there and put down a time, as see Matt Kemp jump up to 7th on the leaderboard. Brad Slaughter trying to get a good feel for his car. Jumps up to 7th. Dethrones him. Still 2 minutes left. Still some fast names yet to go out, like Scioli and
Jake Nichols has gone out, but he got into the wall, and he's going to start at the tail of the field. This is going to be a long night for a driver that is currently 2nd in the championship after winning, Connor, earlier in the season back at, actually just last week at Pocono. So he's got a lot of work on his plate.
And with the high track temp, maybe that makes passing a little easier, but it's still going to be a tall task in 130 laps to get through the field with how treacherous it's going to be in the midfield, I would think, as Scioli is going to try to avoid that. Different number font than what I'm used to seeing on the 7 as he comes through turns 3 and 4. He'll paint the white part of the blue and white line. Didn't really get to the blue, but a pretty stable lap, as I say that, almost pounded the turn 4 wall, but he got off with a big chunk of speed, a 167.314 across the line, puts him all the way into 7th for the number 7.
Yeah, I mean, if Scioli's having that much of an issue, and we know how good he is regardless of what track we go to, if he's having that much of an issue going through 3 and 4, imagine what it's going to be like when everyone's all bunched up together for the initial start.
Yeah, 132-degree track temp. John Furness driving in a furnace out of turn 4 across the line, and a 31.576. That'll be a disappointing lap 38 for him. And Zach Nichols in the Raising Cane's Camaro out of turn 2.
Yeah, no, for all those open drivers, most of them have gone out. Zach Nichols is not one of those. He had a wild race last Thursday, but I believe he got a decent finish out of it in his Racing Cane's Camaro, as he's also sliding out of turn number 4. You talked about a Hunter. It's going to be a big trouble spot. Everyone's struggling to get the rear tires lit up out of the corner, and he goes 166.981. He'd go 18th position. I think he'll take that mid part of the field.
Yeah, that's just one car. We're going to have guys trying to go 2 wide, maybe stick it 3 wide through the exit of turn 4, and can only imagine what chaos could ensue on the front stretch and then having to corner it all down into turn 1.
John Furnace just running some extra laps right now. Bryce Senesek, Braxton DeWeese, they have not made their runs. They will not make their runs. And joining Jake Nichols and the drivers that didn't get a decent run, Bronson Stafford crashed on his lap. He will not get a lap on the board. So 45 attempted qualifying, 49 are here in this session, and in a few moments, Connor, we're going to know who is in, who is not, as far as the DNS drivers and the open drivers here. So going to be an interesting night here. Once all this shifts and shuffles, we'll kick things off 130 laps around here. And then for drivers like Jake Nichols, got to carve your way through the field slowly and patiently.
You know, and we know DeWeese, he's open, so he won't make the field. He might have been the only open driver not to put a time down. We actually have our list of DNQs. One of the drivers going home is Tom Bourne. That's a big name to be going home. One of the open drivers not safe. He did not go fast enough. Ryan Nardone in the 17, Jacob Hayes in the 1, Devin Johnson in the 3, Ryan Nowicki in the 74, and like I mentioned, Braxton DeWeese, who didn't put a time down, in the 13. So those are our 6 DNQs of the night. Pretty shocking. Bourne missed the field. The field this competitive, that's what can happen as we get the warm-up period underway for a few minutes while they DNQ the drivers, and we'll get ready to go for 130 laps.
Keep an eye on the weather and temperature here. It is going to be a hot one. And, we saw the races the other night that went into the evening. The ambient temp or the track temp fell down near ambient towards the end of the evening, but we're not going to get that race by the end of the night, I'm sure about it. Of course, we've got a few minutes until we'll get everything sorted and we'll turn everyone loose. But so far this season, it has been Grauner and Nichols at the top of the order. Shane Therian runs 3rd in the standings. Zach Nichols made a big gain, Connor, as you mentioned last week. But John Furnace, plus 21 from Daytona to Pocono, finished 34th at Daytona, involved in a wreck, and then P3 last week at the Tricky Triangle. He got his season turned around, but he's another driver that starts way at the tail of the field tonight.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of good drivers coming from the rear of the field, like Nichols, like the 28 of Furnace. Rafe Slate's back in 41st. Alex Weaver in 37th. He's a top 15 type of guy. Lakatos is in the back of the field. A lot of drivers who can know how to run at the front of the field are going to have to come from the back of the field, and they're going to have to do it in it's not going to be too short of amount of time. You have 130 laps to make it work, but there's only so much you can do and only so many passes you can make until the tires get worn out. Then you start falling backwards to where you came from. Like looking at a 2-stop strategy if it went green from here. So you got to do best you can strategy-wise and make those passes at the same time. You got to be absolutely perfect coming through the field because it's so easy to get caught up in other people's messes if you start back there. So Furnace and Nichols specifically, they're going to have to be really, really careful.
You're not going to want to use the tires too early because if you use them too much, and you're just going to be like a rock in a hard place, just falling backwards throughout the field as everyone else is trying to navigate their way forward. So we're going to see comers and goers, but if you're starting in the back, you don't want to use your stuff too early. You want to preserve it, make it last for at least a first run if we do have a green flag pit stop.
Giving us our onboard cameras tonight, Levi Heilman. We've already jumped on board with him during his qualifying session. Bryce Senesek will also give us his perspective here this evening. JT Poole will as well. We've got Justin Munsell giving us his onboard, and we've also got Connor Horn giving us his onboard from the booth here tonight. We'll check in with Connor a little bit later, but great perspectives here showing us the ins and outs of the different rigs people are using and the way that people are getting set up to go racing tonight for 130 laps time. With such a big grid, Connor, there's always the threat of getting involved in an incident, but just how close were things in qualifying? And Tom Bourne missed qualifying in by 8 1/1000ths of a second.
And I believe it was Heilman who we were on board with, who was the last driver to make the field over Tom Bourne. So that's how close it is. And it has been that close all season long. The gap between being in and out has been down to under a 1/10 of a second each and every race so far. And that's just what you have to deal with as an open driver. If you can't get on board with a team, you got to work so hard on your qualifying trim in conditions like this. And unfortunately, you had 6 drivers not able to do so, as we got about 6 minutes left in the warm-up, but it will be probably shortened momentarily, as most drivers are just still trying to get their bearings on this racetrack. It's for drivers who have ran both races earlier in the week, Hunter. It's a completely different beast, completely different car. It will handle completely differently. And like we talked about, the weather and the time of day, completely different. and no one's going to be used to this.
It's like you're expecting a fastball, and then they throw a mean knuckleball. Super slow, super dynamic and interesting, but anything but slow for tonight, Kyle.
Well, it was tight. It was close in qualifying. The race before the race is over, and we'll head down to the racetrack now for our 130 laps from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Before we get down there, though, our starting grid sponsor is Central Mobile Homes. Looking for a small or large home, a new shed, or a Triple Crown trailer? Look no further than Central Mobile Homes. They've been proudly serving Florida customers for 28 years with a plethora of small and large home floor plans, shed designs, and Triple Crown trailers. Available in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. Head to centralmobilehomeinc.com to get started today. It is a big field. I don't know if we're going to get the whole thing in before we go racing tonight, but let's start things off. Front row, leading the championship standings, leading the field to the green. Philip Groner in the number 11, and JT Poole starts on the outside of that front row, Connor.
I think we'll have an extra pace lap, so we should get this field in. Third place will be Blaze McKinney, who crashed out pretty early last week at Pocono. He starts third. Jeff Wright will start fourth.
In fifth place, row 3, it's Zach Carr in the number 97, who starts in fifth. John Forbes Jr. rolls off sixth in the 78.
Good qualifying effort for the 78. James Scioli, the three-time reigning series champion, starts in the 7th position. 7 and 8. Starts 7th and 8th. He's alongside Brad Slaughter Jr. in his Supra.
Ninth place, Connor Okrezik in the number 14 Toyota Supra. Matt Kemp starts 10th in the number 51 Camaro.
11th place will be the 42 Brody Falker, who had a solid run at Daytona going. He'll start 11th. Ryan Hart's in the 54 will start 12th.
RJ Williams rolls off 13th place in the number 21 Chevy, and Matthew Bell starts 14th in the number 43.
RJ Williams is one of those with an EOL tonight, I believe. Greg Mitchell will start in the 15th position in his famed number 2. He'll start alongside Nathan Jump in the 83 car.
And 17th place, Justin Anasogak on the right side of your screen. On the left for the starting grid, Zach Nichols rolls off 18th in the 44 Raising Cane's Chevy.
Smack dab in the middle of the AMS Oil Camaro, Colin Farnborough starts 19th alongside Ben Pierce, top half of the field at 20.
21st place, David Weishart in the number 33, and Ed Robertson rolls off 22nd, the 64 Camaro.
23rd position will go to the 70 of Cedric Hunter, one of the few Mustangs in the field tonight. He'll start alongside last season's winner here in the 9 car in a Supra, Shane Therian.
And Trey Eitzen starts in 25th in an all-Chevy row. The number 22 car, then Alex Bell starts 26th in the 15.
27th position, the 01 of Matthew Rodriguez, one of the open drivers that made the field. Alongside him, 28th place, Ryan Swan.
29th place, Levi Heilman just in by the skin of his teeth. Alexander Bryson rolls off 30th in the 38 car.
That's how close it was. They had a car in between them, a few of them at fact. Case Licata's 31st place. He will race tonight. Tom Bourne will not.
Then behind it's Zach Wilson in the number 12 who rolls off 33rd. Garrett Grant starts 34th in the number 5.
35th position, a Supra of Joey Chapman in the number 60. Ryan Nardone, another one of our drivers who did not make the field.
37th is Alex Weaver, who did make the field in the 29 car. Sean Hayes did not in the number 1, so he would have rolled off 38th.
39th place, one of the big drivers starting way at the back of the field will be John Furness, all the way back in 39th position. Alongside him will be the 84 of Shane Abbey.
And then it's Rafe Slate rolling off 41st in the 98. Devin Johnson missed the field in the number 3.
43rd place, Justin Munsell made the field, but a long way to go to get to the front. He's usually a contender, but he has a lot of work to do. Ryan Nowicki, another one, missing the field.
And Jeremy Miller will start this race down towards the bottom. The number 30, Jake Nichols, will as well. He's got a long way to go to keep running co-requisite with his points championship standing, which is second right now.
And I think Jeremy's going to follow him through, if I had to guess. Braxton DeWeese, our last driver, I believe, to not make the field. Bryce Senesac, I believe, does make the field, but he's pretty much starting at the back of the field along with Bronson Stafford. So that's our 43-car field, plus our 60 and Houston as we get the 1 to green this time by, and it is a big, big field.
All right, let's take our picks. Hunter, let's start with you. It's a big field. You got lots to choose from. Who are you going with?
Well, I do have a lot to choose from. You know what? I'm going to take the risk. Jake Nichols goes from the back to the front.
All right, Connor, who you got?
I was going to pick him, actually, even from back there. But I'll go with his teammate who's starting in the 5th position, Zachary Carr. He had bad luck last week. He was at the front at the start, got kind of turned early, and could never really recover. I think he gets his first area win tonight.
All right, well, I'm going to roll with the pole sitter. Philip Groner leading the championship standings. I think he's in a great position. I think he's got the talent and skill and positioning on the racetrack to get it done. I say Philip Groner goes to victory lane. Maybe a cop-out choice, but there's always going to be somebody that has to pick whoever's sitting up there on the front row. Down the back straightaway for the final time here under control of the pace car. One last look at the weather, and this is almost as hot as I've seen it in iRacing. I've seen it 144 as the hottest track time I've ever seen. We're sitting at 136 degrees Fahrenheit. Connor, that is going to roast these tires if you abuse them.
And hopefully it doesn't roast your PC. I saw Ryan Hartz just went out of the session. He'll try to get back in, but yeah, this is going to be tough. If we get a green flag run on this set of tires, the hottest it will probably be during the race will be this run, so you got to be very, very careful.
Well, we've waited, again, an entire week to get this season started after the mishap Daytona week, but it is time to go racing in race 3 of the season. From Charlotte, North Carolina, all East Coast races so far. Who conquers Charlotte tonight? 130 laps. And here we go. Green flag, and we're racing in the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. Trouble already.
Scioli's in it. 83's in it. Big pile up.
Wow. That was not what I was anticipating to start this race. There's a couple of cars in this mix that are real torn up.
Zachary Carr has no back end. Neither is Brody Falliker. That looked like a lot of drivers did not anticipate wheel spin, and they got it.
Well, let's go back and kind of analyze this from top down.
It looked like, Blaze McKinney. It looked like McKinney spun the tires to 97-2 when he got back into McKinney. It caused them to get away. But I think there was more than that. A whole lot happened.
At 87 slips, and then more contact from the 97. That's what triggers this whole thing. O'Kresick goes for a slide, and just a big pileup. Just too many cars in this to even pick one out. Is that the 22 squeaking through there, Trey Eidson?
I thought I saw a 64 get a tap, but I think he's okay. But yeah,
22. Here's his view. Now, even back there, they're already.
I mean, like I said, Hunter, I think a lot of people weren't anticipating to have wheel spin on fresh rubber, and that's exactly what happened.
I would say that whole thing looked off because JT Poole beat Philip Groner to the line, and Groner was the pole sitter. I think that's what at first threw everything off, and was what started this whole thing with McKinney, because that I would have expected the 11 to be a little bit more in front of the 26, but
looks like JT Poole got a penalty out of that as well, Hunter.
Yeah, I was about to say that whole thing looked off from the jump.
And Brody Falliker gets a big piece of this. Let's ride on board inside his car, see what he sees. He was getting up through the gears nicely, and then he just really couldn't do much about it.
Yeah, literally nothing you can do when it all stops like that.
Oh.
And John Furness talked about starting at the back. That's what can happen when you start back there. Not sure where Nichols was and all that, but Furness definitely got a tiny piece of it.
Nichols left a little space there, maybe anticipating. See right there, it just dives to the grass.
Stops.
Yeah, he just didn't. Got in the grass here, did a really nice job. He left some space, maybe anticipating some trouble there.
That's why he's my pick. He's going for gold.
Yeah. His teammate Zachary Carr is probably going to struggle to stay in contention with the damaged rear end. But what it's done is really shake things up, because you had a bunch of drivers, I think, having to pass the pace car because of where that yellow came out. JT Poole is scored the leader, but he does have a black flag to serve. John Furness, from what I'm seeing, also has a black flag in there somewhere.
So what's
as
the
does
rule?
Scioli.
I mean, is there? I mean, if the leader spins the tires, is that an argument you can make to clear that penalty, or are you just kind of stuck with it?
He might be stuck with it. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to rule anything about this. I mean, there's not much he could do. It's on green on the initial start. So
I see.
The leader doesn't launch. There's not a whole lot you can do. You can't wait for him. You go on green. So maybe he did go first, but it didn't really look that way. I thought Groner launched fine, maybe spun the tires, and then JT got the jump.
Let's go back again. The very initial launch.
It's not what causes the crash either.
No, but you see, maybe that 26 did go right. Watch him against the 48's bumper right there.
But is Jeff Wright pushing him there? That could have been it might have been Jeff Wright hitting him ahead.
Yeah, I think you could argue that probably, right? Definitely gets hit.
When you see the internals of the car, it's probably the case. Either way, I think JT Poole would rather take a penalty over being involved in that, but we'll see what gets called here. It's got some drivers who pit, some drivers are damaged. The 28 is actually more beat up than I thought. I think that car that got the worst of it was actually Rafe Slate and maybe Brody Falliker as well. So those two are going to have big repairs to do. Last season's winner, Shane Therian, also got some damage in it.
So, lesson learned, I guess, if you were using first on that start. We try second gear now, Hunter. I think got to do something different this time.
Yeah, I would hope so. Don't want to see another catastrophe like we saw in the initial start, but I think everyone's got the memo now, but I think they're going to take a little bit easier on this next restart.
Didn't even get to third gear. On the green?
Maybe turn one.
JT Poole's going to elect for the bottom now. He still would. Connor, would he have to serve this penalty under green, or is it because he got the penalty under a green condition? It's not going to give him an EOL.
I think they might have just actually cleared them all, so he might not get a penalty because there's no really don't know who's going to have to serve what really, but I would think a lot of people had to pass the pace car, so they had to get that clear. The 26, I mean, we'll see if he has to serve anything. We haven't gotten any word from race control.
Yeah, interesting scenario playing out on the opening lap of this race. The Florida State Builders Area Pro Series getting set to go, and all but one, well, there was 43, I think that started. We've got 42 on the racetrack, 41 of them are on the surface. Brody Falliker's in the pit lane still. We're about 3 minutes into repairs. So we'll try this again. Second time's a charm. JT Poole elects for the bottom lane. See the 51 Matt Kemp having a blink there for a moment, but pace car is off. Here we go again. 125 laps at Charlotte. Let's try this duration instead. Into the start acceleration zone. And we're racing at Charlotte. Cleaner getaway this time.
Still pretty squirrely, but we will at least get to turn number one. We'll see if that 26 does have to serve anything, but for the meantime, JT Poole clear to the lead. Groner trying to hold on to second, but Wright has a big run as they stack up in a little bit in the background, but the 48 had a big run off the top of the corner in turn number two.
Setting it into turn three, got Jeff Wright on the outside, Philip Groner on that inside, and Poole for the moment still leading, but Wright with that run on the outside might have a shot at the lead. Nah, not quite, but he's got a good enough run to head into turn one.
Side by side for the top spot. Jeff Wright looks to the outside. They used to call this place Lowe's Motor Speedway. Maybe the livery playing into that tonight around the outside lane. Jeff Wright takes the lead away. Multi-groove racing here at Charlotte. This place is known for it here in the simulator. Connor, over all the years, it's probably been one of the best demonstrator tracks to show which lanes you can choose at different times in a race.
And we saw that all throughout this week, even on Tuesday night. But we'll see a lot more of it, I think, today with that higher track. You'll see drivers, even more drivers, trying to test the limits of that outside wall around the outside line as Groner got the second. Poole drops back to third.
The car's laying it out. Oh, wow.
Couple of cars in the wall in turn 1 and 2.
That had Robertson in the 64. He didn't get in the wall, but he put someone in the wall.
Matthew Rodriguez is the slow one. We'll check in on it a little bit. 3 wide into 3, and a couple places they're doing that. They get themselves sorted out. 44, Zach Nichols, center track.
Well, had a good run last week, but dropped back because of what happened. He might have some nose damage as it goes Groner back to the lead.
Groner on the inside, trying to get a good run on Jeff Wright, but that outside lane, keeping the 48 in front for now. Groner going to stay to that left rear quarter panel, try to get some side draft off him, and set it down into 3.
Down into turns 3 and 4. Still door to door for the top spot. Groner would like it back. Had it kind of yanked from him on the opening lap with the caution and dramas behind, but he is not going to be denied an opportunity to steal the lead away again here into turn 1. He goes bottom of the track, but Wright covers him, Connor.
Yeah, I think Wright's really trying to drive hard to keep clean air on the nose and keep track position, but Groner's trying to do the same thing and try to get it back because he doesn't want to sit in the 48's dirty air. It might wear his tires out much more, and it might really make him struggle for the long haul if we get a long run here. And these two are just kind of rocketing away. Blaze McKinney and JT Poole, they went at it for third. McKinney got it, so we'll get the Hendry Counter Motorsports Park instant replay. It looked like RJ Williams got a boot from Lakatis, and Ed Robertson couldn't do much there.
Yeah. And 4 wide there, just nowhere to go for Rodriguez into the wall, and still door-to-door for the lead. Groner on the bottom right with a strong run on the outside.
Yeah, still not giving it up there on the bottom lane, and I think one thing you'll have to consider is the tire wear in the different lanes of the racetrack. Are you grinding your right front, trying to keep this car on the bottom tucked underneath Jeff Wright, pinching off the lanes? Are you burning up tires on the outside lane when it's a little bit rougher up there? Perhaps less rubber, so all those things are a consideration here early. We've already dropped 0.3 of a second, Connor. We've been green for 3 minutes.
Like I said, we saw in practice 20-lap runs have 2 seconds of fall off, but I think that top line's where you're going to be wearing out the tires more. But I think it's the faster line for passing, and I think you're going to be able to defend up there quite nicely as well. And I know Jeff Wright, he doesn't want to be up there, but when he goes to the bottom, usually Groner's able to get back to the inside of him, gets him off the corner, gets an air on the spoiler, gets him loosened up, and usually gets back under him. It didn't happen that time, but the 48's are struggling to keep the power down. The 11's trying to take advantage of it.
Driving away from everyone else right now. 8 car lengths separating the top 2 from Blaze McKinney. A little further back here, Brad Slaughter losing 7th to Matt Kemp in the 51. Running in car with the 8 of Slaughter. He's getting a good look at that Taco Bell Chevrolet Camaro.
Tell you, sim racing sponsorship works, man. I still can recall a time back when we did the Indy Elite Series, someone had a Taco Bell Indy car, and Finney and I promptly got in our car and drove to Taco Bell right after that broadcast. Bronner out in front going for a pass here on the 48. Maybe it doesn't work so much with Lowe's as it does with Taco Bell, but either way, a little side by side here.
We're not probably open this time either, but either way, I think we all love seeing that 48 on track. Jeff Wright likes seeing it in the race lead. He was so close to winning Daytona, lost it really in the final corner, the final 200-300 feet even. But Groner's giving everything he's got. He is not letting Jeff Wright get away, and this will eventually let Blaze McKinney close it even more. He has closed it in by about 3/10 since the last time we looked at it, after he got third from JT Poole, and even behind that, we still got battling throughout the field. This is for about 21st position. Joey Chapman, Ed Robertson trying to go by Colin Fambro.
Yeah, Fambro's starting to struggle a little bit. Robertson had a little slip up there through the middle of the corner. Going to stay to the inside and try to tuck in line as they're navigating down the backstretch. Rodriguez had to move on someone, and there's a High Rock car to the inside of Robertson. It's Ryan Swan.
A couple of drivers battling here nor there, but all single filing for the most part, and everyone kind of on the bottom of the racetrack, Connor. I wonder if this is one of those tire preservation moves as Groner continues to hound Jeff Wright for the top spot. He is not giving up nor giving in, but look at that freight train on the bottom of the track.
It's really not surprising. There's one driver back there. That might have been Furnace with damage, but there's pretty much everyone is going to be trying to wrap this blue and white line to keep the right front and the right rear tire on the car. We saw more right front wear than right rear wear because you're really getting tight off the corners, creates sort of a push-loose situation. That's why we saw the sliding out of the corner in qualifying. It's really a push-loose type of thing. So Groner's trying to force the 48 off the bottom, wear his tires out even more. At the same time, I can't help but believe Groner's probably wearing his own stuff out, but you can see how Jeff Wright's already struggling, cannot get off the corner, and it's going to let Groner get back to his inside.
Groner with a strong run into 3 as McKinney's starting to slowly close in on the top 2. JT Poole not too far behind as well, but Groner's still fighting on that inside. Jeff Wright still getting around on the outside to maintain the lead for now.
How long is Groner going to be able to sit here on the quarter panel of the 48 before he gets a little frustrated? There's some lap traffic up the road, but look at the run center corner in 1 and 2. That's where this 11 seems to be able to really wrap the corner, but on exit, the 48 carrying speed on the outside a little better.
And just able to pinch the 11 off. I think if Philip Groner didn't have to deal with the 48, if we were ghost car racing, he'd come up out of the corner, he'd already be by Jeff Wright, but that's not how racing works. He's just getting pinched too hard to the bottom of the corner. As we look at Heilman, what happened with the 99 here. This is how tough it is to get out of the corner in the pack, tap the wall a little bit. No harm, no foul there, but Groner's going to be struggling with that the entire time. until eventually he might be willing to go to the high line to make a pass. See someone going up there. I think that's the 8 of Slaughter. He's really the first guinea pig to try the high line.
High, wide, and handsome for that number 8 running in the 8th spot. Mostly single file throughout the field. Got some side-by-side action a little further back, but the 8 of Slaughter is the only one really starting to use that outside lane. It's good enough for getting the runs on the exit, but later on in the run, I'm not sure how that's going to go for me.
Well, I am a fan of trying this, and here's why. You can't pass cars if they're driving where you want to be. So if you drive everywhere that they're not, at least you give yourself an opportunity to get around them. Now, yeah, it might burn up your tires, but someone's got to lay the rubber down up there. And Connor, once it starts to rubber in, that should help towards the end of this race. There's enough cars out here. This race is long enough. I do think it will matter. Are we going to try 3 wide? Alex Bell on the bottom? We sure will.
Alex Bell, to my knowledge, started way in the back, 25th, 26th position. He's already in a battle for the top 10. He's probably for moves like that. Got very aggressive with a late 3 wide move, but couldn't make it work because got a whole bunch of drivers trying to get from the back to the front. Oh, we got a crash on the front. Number of drivers in, it cautions out. Bryce Senesak's one involved.
Jay Williams, I think I saw in the 21 as well. Senesak right in the midst of it. He will pull away. There is quite a bit of damage on that car.
Looks like something happened with Chapman and Miller in 3, and maybe it caused theirs.
Oh yeah, up the road, we'll catch it. And then I think as they came out of 4,
Just stacked up.
yeah.
Ooh, David Weishart was another one who went sliding. But it starts in turn 2 to 60 and 30. Turn 3, excuse me. But we'll carry it.
Oh, 30 was way up, and then he comes down the track.
Did he wonder if there was contact before that prompted him to turn on the 60?
Well, you might get your answer here.
Let's see. This is 1 and 2. We should see the entire field pit here, by the way. 60 gets the run.
Does he get hit going into 3?
Chapman's got a run. Chapman,
Oh, yeah. He gets hit, then turns back down the hill to show what I would call a lack of appreciation, and then the stack up happens right there.
Williams
21.
and Abbey, and then Senesak and Nichols. But yeah, that like Miller didn't appreciate the. I don't know how much of a dive it was. Chapman kind of looked a little late to make that move, but Miller definitely chopped him. As unsurprisingly, entire field's going to come down the pit. Besides maybe a few people maybe taking the wave around. As a matter of fact, it does look like John Furness will take the wave. Jake Nichols did stay out.
Interesting. I don't know that I would have done that, but here's a question for the rules people. Is it retaliatory contact causing a yellow? Would that land the 30 in trouble? I mean, he didn't directly cause the crash, but I would say that it indirectly did. And
I don't think so. I mean, it's showing frustration, but it's not a retaliation attempt like we saw on Tuesday night. I believe it was Spencer Burns, a retaliation attempt that actually went wrong, took out the wrong guy, but it's nothing like that. So
was it who did Danica try to wreck back at Kansas?
Landon Castle.
There you go. First rule about stock car racing:
wreck someone without wrecking yourself.
there you go.
I mean, he definitely came down to track to voice his displeasure, but I mean, I
guess I was just curious
penalize it, but
where the line is between if you take a swing at someone that causes everyone to check up. But regardless, second caution of the night, lap 23. We're spreading the field out. I don't know if I like the situation Jake Nichols has put himself in, except for the fact here, Condor, that he has saved himself a set of tires. So maybe this will be important later in this race.
I wonder if he did save himself a set. I'm trying to look if he did pit under that yellow. I think he actually just took fuel, so he does have one less set. And, you know, we saw track position be a big part of the races the last 2 nights, and this one's going to be, I think, no different. He was about 28th or 29th when the yellow occurred. He actually had to come through it a little bit because he was behind it. So if he can at least manage better than that on this run, it's going to be a victory. Plus, like you said, saving a set of tires. So that's probably what he's going for. It's kind of how he lost this race last season. He was actually one of the drivers in competition for the win season 5, but did not have tires to take on the final yellow. Shane Theriot did. Shane Theriot ended up winning that race. So I think part of that is trying to get caught up in deja vu.
Yeah, only repeat winner here is Scioli. The other winners, Michael Larch, Alan Elwood, and then last year Shane Terrian. So Jake Nichols has yet to win at this mile and a half, at least on the Pro Series side of things. But I think last year was his rookie year. So, well, quote unquote rookie year. It was his first year running the Pro Series, but definitely capable of getting the job done. And interesting call with the strategy of staying out. I know it was for tire wear, which that's going to be big in the end if there's a late race yellow and no one has fresh set tires other than Jake Nichols. But short term, not going to be good, but long term, Kyle, probably good for the 73.
Yeah, I mean, again, you can't see it in the future. You can make a bold prediction, but again, I don't like it from the perspective of I just think it puts him at risk in the short term, right? And I don't mean losing positions. That's going to happen. I think just getting caught up in a mess is the bigger issue if you drop to the rear. So I like it from a looking long-term perspective, but I would almost do the strategy, Connor, of not taking tires, but just sitting on pit lane and restarting at the tail. You know you're going to get past anyway, so just remove yourself from the risk and still save those tires for later in the race.
I think Jake's probably putting faith in the drivers behind him not to cause anything either. I think he usually knows how to hold his line properly, so I think you're doing this for what he's doing this for track position, and that's why he wouldn't pull off and just start at the back and save the set of tires that way. You're trying to at least get some track position out of this. It's going to be tough. The fall off was massive, but I'm sure I'm going to assume he wasn't really pushing the tires too hard, but it's still going to make a big difference.
I would just think that your track position play comes later, right? Like the track position is going to come when you put those fresh tires on and no one has them. I don't know that. I mean, he's going to go drop like a heavy stone in a pond here in a minute, so we'll see.
This can help with, it's going to help Groner too. Groner got out ahead of Jeff Wright and allow Groner to start outside front row. Jeff Wright probably going to be a little stuck here behind the 73 too.
Yeah, let's see how this pans out. Restarting lap 26 of 130. Nichols in the blue is the control car. Groner on the outside will have to wait for him to launch into the acceleration zone. Green flag. Good launch there by Nichols. At least didn't stack anybody up. There's one car in the grass. That was 18 of Fambro.
Those fresh tires still get squirrely. Groner was not able to get clear of the 73 yet off the corner. That's probably where we'll see it be made as Nichols struggled off the corner. McKinney's going to get the second, while Jeff Wright's going to be the big loser on that one.
Oh, that was Matt Kemp that got shuffled down there, looking 3 wide all the way on the bottom, just kind of appeared out of nowhere. But now we see the anchor start to set in for Jake Nichols as everyone else is trying to find a way around him on the outside.
It'll be tough. 5th place after 1 lap. Groner leads, McKinney second, and everybody trying to figure out a lane around the 73. That bottom lane isn't going to go anywhere. If the drivers were paying attention, doing the research under that yellow, they would know that the 73 is going to be down there and try to get to the high side here, down the backstretch.
They're probably hoping to put him in the middle, force him up the track. That's what Alex Bell's going to try to do. I think Nichols is trying to pin the bottom, keep the tires in the best condition possible. Bell's going to force the issue, put him in a really dangerous spot in the middle. Now Slaughter and everyone else is going to follow him through. Hunter loose off the corner. This is where it gets risky.
I got loose in my seat just looking at Hunter getting loose. 73 in a rough spot there, but trying to make it work for now. Garrett Grant going to go around him. Levi Heilman, Swan, you got Weaver. I mean, everyone just... It's like you're on the hardest difficulty mode in a video game, or you're just going nowhere.
Yeah, this is like what I mentioned about the danger of this is if you get, I mean, it's good that he trusts people, but this is what, right, you see right ahead of him here is a little bit of a stack up. I don't like being in the middle of all this, but again, he continues to drop. So this is why it's suggested maybe you just start at the rear. You're going to lose ground, yeah, but not have the potential of getting in a wreck.
You'll just hope it's more calm near the end of the race. That's really what he's hoping for.
Yeah, falling outside the top 30 now, and actually in the front place, McKinney's taking over second from Jeff Wright, Poole, and John Forbes Jr. rounding out the top 5 for the 48. Still trying that outside lane to get back around McKinney.
Yeah, Jeff Wright has been pretty impressive so far with his car placement. His defense has been stout. Now we'll see what his offense looks like as he goes down to the inside of McKinney here into turn 1, and then JT Poole sees an open door. He might try to fill that gap too.
I think the only worry with Jeff Wright is he is great short run. He drives really hard. It could really end up hurting him on the long run, but we got to get there first.
concentration on JT Poole and running inside the top 5 for the entire race so far, about to be 30 laps in. Got a good look at Blaze McKinney, but just buying his time, and Poole calm and collected.
A little bit scrappier back here, just outside of the top 10. Levi Heilman leading Garrett Grant, Justin Munsell, a little side-by-side battle between these two.
Ryan Swan, Alex Weaver side by side. This is where we've seen the squirrely things happen. Senesek just got loose off the corner. He just barely collected it. Chapman did his inside even further back than this 2x2 battle. As Munsell and Swan, I don't think they're really trying to go forward, but if you don't have a hold of the inside, you have no choice but to try to push hard. Either try to push hard to get in front of the drivers and then find a hole down. Looks like Munsell might have just done that. Or he's actually, let's take it back. Looks like he is trying to make up these positions on the outside while everyone else saves a little bit on the bottom.
Yeah, he's one of the ones that start all the way in the back. Got to make up ground somehow, and...
Caution, turn 2.
21. RJ Williams.
33's involved as well.
Oh, there was a spin ahead of him. There had to have been. You see smoke. Yep.
There was Weishart. And
21 just, it's for the second time that he's gotten kind of spun out in the post action. Here's the 33.
Oh, it was in front.
It was even further ahead than that.
He gets...
It's like the 12.
He hit the
Zach
back
Wilson.
yeah, so Weishart hit the back of Robinson to make him spin out, but...
It's wrong button.
And it was Zach Wilson. Looks like maybe he was the first one to spin in the 12 car.
Oh, and he had some help, I think.
Bronson Stafford.
This propagated back like an accordion.
And he actually makes a solid save.
Right there, so he gets tagged by the 61. Oh, he does a nice save, and then behind is when Weishart, kind of late in the run here.
Very late.
He's just, oh, the 64. So he couldn't see the car ahead of Ed Robertson there. Watch just as he approaches this white car. Okay, so he literally, right here, this white car disappears. Watch it disappear. Gone, right? Completely in a blind spot, All of a sudden, the 64 just stops, and then there's that white car again. So he just kind of lost track of the one car that ended up being the trigger for that incident.
Well, Crescent was involved as well. I think that's why they were checking up for it, again, because he got hit from behind and then his rear bumper cover came off, so maybe that's why Ed Robertson was checking up as well. And like you mentioned, Weishart in a blind spot and just all unfolded like an accordion from the beginning of turn 1 all the way through turn 2.
So now, if you are Jake Nichols, he just bolted 4 fresh tires on. Now, I don't understand this. I guess he had to come for fuel pretty soon, Connor, but I don't know if I would have used my tires now. The advantage on lap 34, I would have saved that to have them in the chamber for lap 100.
Just kind of biting the bullet at this point because he had already fallen back even further than where he was running. So I think he felt the need. I think he pretty much felt like, well, that's just not going to happen this run. So I think he figured he might as well take whatever advantage he can get at this point and maybe try to get his track position back that way. Because we saw, even in a few amount of laps, there's still going to be a lot of fall off, and that's what he's going to try to use to his advantage, I guess, this run, as he'll start probably behind Zachary Cars, still repairing rear end damage, still under starting 5th.
Yeah, only 2 cars DNFing from what I'm seeing. Brody Falker and RJ Williams look like they're both done for the night. Nathan Jump, Alexander Bryson's still in it, but for the most part, still got, what is that, 38 cars on the lead lap?
Yeah, a whole lot of runners still left on the lead lap. We've had a handful of replays so far on the Henry County Motorsports Park replay. Racing returns to the Henry County Motorsports Park on September 7th, including 360 Top Gun Wing Sprints, Crusoe late models, factory stocks, and more. Tickets are $15 for adults with discounted prices for seniors, teens, and kids. Ages 5 and under are free. Come see racing at the southernmost dirt track in America, located in Clewiston, Florida, right off US Highway 27. Visit henryracing.com for more information. The third yellow of the night, this time a stack up in turns 1 and 2. With Philip Grauner, pole sitter, leading the way over Jeff Wright, Blaze McKinney, JT Poole, and John Forbes Jr. Others making big moves in this race. We documented a couple of drivers that were climbing through the field, including Justin Munsell. 38th to 13th, Connor. His day's going well so far.
Yeah, he's done a great job getting through the field. You have Trey Eitz and Alex Bell in the top 10, who started back even further back than, well, not further back than Munsell, but 25th or worse is where they started. Cedric Hunter's had a good climb. Garrett Grant, Alex Weaver, Case Lakatos, they fought from back of the field into the top 20. So a lot of drivers, you know, a lot of comers and goers already early on in this race. That track temp's not going down anytime soon. It's gotten even hotter. It's at 140 degrees. I'm not even sure if it can go much higher than that in the sim. I guess we might be able to find out as we get the 1 to green.
It's the perfect temperature to cook some eggs if you're feeling like a little breakfast for dinner, or I'll eat dinner for some, but...
Eggs? You can cook a pork on 140 degrees.
Yeah.
Good old sirloin as well. I mean, they all
Possibilities
together.
I remember during a practice at Kentucky one year, they actually did cook an egg during one of the practices. And that was crazy enough.
I had planned on doing that at VIR, but turns out that you need to leave a pan out there for a long time to absorb that heat, unless you just want to put it on the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could cook it. Almost get a steak. What's medium rare in a steak? Like 120 something. So you could. Does that sound right? That sounds not hot enough.
I feel like it sounds low.
Rare steak.
130 to 135.
All right, so that wasn't that
low.
All right, that wasn't like
that
rare.
You're just
For all our
rare. Yeah,
Canadians, that's 54 to 57 degrees Celsius.
or anyone who uses Celsius, aka pretty much non-Americans.
Freedom units.
Although the only Celsius Americans use are the energy drinks.
Not sponsored.
Nope, but they are good.
I don't know if I
Inspiring
tried a
quality.
Celsius only once. I did have a couple Rowdy Energies a few times along the way. R.I.P. Rowdy Energy.
Watch for the lead.
Got a lead foot, baby. Just adding to it. Here we go, lap 37, and we're back underway from Charlotte.
Oh, Jeff Wright had a bunch of wheel spin there.
Oh, the crash!
Oh, man.
In the wall.
Right
Another
in front
one.
of the field.
Jeremy Miller, Cedric Hunter still crashing. Joey Chapman, Garrett Grant.
What did this one start with? This is right up towards the front.
Brad Slaughter is in it.
I think it's right where Jeff Wright spun the tires. It was like an accordion effect behind him.
Yeah. So we know that the 48 spins the tires, 51, 15, 78.
Yeah, just all stacked up. And then everyone keeps piling in. Oh, Chapman and Miller. There goes, ooh. Zach Nichols flew in there. So did Ed Roberts.
And Jake Nichols was at the back of this, and he had to stop again.
Another stop.
And he's not had the luck. I mean, I guess he's not missed it all, but
Just gotta stop.
yeah, there's nowhere to go. See, oh man, someone.
Oh, there's Furnace. That was a 44. You could tell how much rear brake he's got in it, you know, because he is not slowing down steadily.
Jack Nichols. Even he lights him up back here. He was had one tire in the grass, so he couldn't get max braking, and it just piles in there.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was bad. Not much he could do. He got loose a little bit under braking, and once it gets a little loose, it's just gonna hop, 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 and you're out of control. But like you said, it all started from Jeff Wright spinning.
Right on board with the 8 of Brad Slaughter, see what he sees out the cockpit. Right on board down here, actually.
No warning either, and then he's in the middle of it. And it's not done either. Bam, right there. Goes Chapman there. Yep. That's what it goes.
Might be the slowest big one I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Because everyone's in the mindset of go, 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 and then stop, 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 stop. Have you ever heard those spotter calls on big restart pileups?
Furnace just
Even the driver's trying to be conservative there. I mean, it depends on how much you can see, right? I mean, some drivers have a great perspective of it, and some are completely blind until the moment of impact.
Yeah, it's
Look at
hard to be aware.
Oh, man.
Ooh, Greg Mitchell.
Greg Mitchell
Wow.
got really lucky.
Ben Pierce, Shane
He was
Therian.
like the 12. Oh,
That
he
was-
got hit right at the end, too.
That's a tough one. There's not much you can see in that when you're bumper to bumper. It's the first time Jeff Wright's done that too. It did not happen earlier. Wow, just got through that.
And the 12 unfortunately gets caught up in it. Zach Wilson, he almost completely missed everything. Kind of by virtue of a sloppy restart on his own accord, right? And then
he reacted late too, and almost gets away with it.
Down, and then right here.
Was that Fambro? Couldn't even tell who that was, but they were wrecking.
A little rear-to-rear contact. It actually makes me reminds me of when I was at VIR a few weeks ago. Two cars came to pit lane with no damage to their bumpers, but the trunks and the wings were all messed up. And I was trying to figure out how the two cars came together. And it turns out that there was oil on the track. One speared off, went straight into the tires, and the other spun around and they hit rear to rear. I'd never seen damage like that before. And it was all just part of stitching the puzzle pieces together to figure out what had happened there. How do you get hit in the back by another car without hitting the bottom of the car? So, weird.
Definitely weird. Yeah, rear-to-rear contact is very rare. I remember it happened at New Hampshire one year between, I think it was Truex and Earnhardt, because they were backing out of a crash, then backed into each other. And how sensitive those cars are, it kind of destroyed both of them. But, new damage model. Hopefully that won't destroy them, but a few others probably got destroyed out of this. Philip Groner will take it. I'm sure he will be fine with continuing in the race lead, but this was even bigger than the initial crash, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I don't know if there was definitely more damage dished out in that one, but also more cars in it. But we'll restart them, and as far as pit stops, pretty much everyone from 20th on back came in. 21st on back. Jake Nichols is going to restart 20th, so he made up basically 20 spots, Connor, without having to do much of anything.
No, not really. I think in that aspect he'll take it, and this puts him in a much better spot. If we get a long run, it puts him in a much better spot because he does have fresher tires than everyone else. So he'll be able to maybe make some easier passes, hopefully for his sake, without using his tires up too much and evening them out. But as far as that goes, it did work out for him, and he's got his teammate Philip Groner at the front to contend with. There's Blaze McKinney, Jeff Wright, also very fast at the front, and Jeff Wright's been very fast short run, but he has not gotten a lead back since Groner took it on the second restart of the race.
Well, the good thing for Jake Nichols, not only did he A, avoid the wreck, but B, he hasn't used any of his tires at all. Still somewhat new. There are 7 laps on it, Kyle, but he hasn't used them at full speed or haven't gotten them up to temperature yet. So this is working out. Yeah, it's working out for him.
Basically just got the mold release off him, and he's ready to go again. Although his tire advantage wasn't as significant, about half as significant as the advantage that everyone else had over him when he was on old tires. So I'm not sure that he'll fly through as easily, but we'll see how things pan out. Lap 42, let's try it again. Coming to the restart here. Green flag, we're back underway at Charlotte.
A little more wheel spin from McKinney. It looks like that top row is much more aware of what could happen. So Groner leads. Here comes Jeff Wright. He's already looking to the right rear of Groner for the lead.
Trying to get that run on the outside. Going to be able to do just that. And Blaze McKinney trying to follow suit. Gets the door slammed shut on him by Philip Groner. And side by side for 4th between Poole and Forbes.
Yeah, Jeff Wright's been really aggressive on the restarts, and it didn't work out for him the previous time. But when it works out, he gets the lead, and then he can play defense, which he's been very good at so far tonight. So I really like what Jeff Wright's been able to do. Just take advantage of everyone else being tentative on that throttle, and at least when you're up front, Connor, if you spin the tires, it's everyone else's problem, apparently.
How it worked right there, and you can tell that he is definitely pushing probably the hardest of anyone else on the short run. Groner kind of trying to save his stuff a little bit, not trying to push too hard. Jeff Wright able to take advantage of that, easily get the lead. McKinney was able to do the same thing, pushed hard to get the track position over the 11. Now they're both going to go at it for the race lead, most likely. Groner might just let them go here, let them wear their stuff out while he saves his stuff a little bit in front of Forbes.
Alex Bell blinking in and out, still sliding in front of players. And here comes the battle for the lead. McKinney to the inside of Jeff Wright. And that 48's going to have a strong run on the exit of 2.
McKinney hasn't led a single lap yet. He would like to. Right on the quarter panel of the 48 car. Down the back straightaway, a little side-by-side deeper in the field with the 18 of Fambro out of line. And that is to the inside of Jake Nichols, or I guess in the contrary, Nichols on the outside of Fembro.
Not making up much time yet as he's trying to use the lines to his advantage, use the tires to his advantage. He's going to look to the inside of Rodriguez, but his progress will not be as fast as it would have been if it was the opposite. As right back to the lead, cleared the 87 of McKinney, as somewhat single-filed out, as had a little bit more attrition. Bell and Poole will be side by side for the 6th position. Looks like the 15 gets that spot as Matt Kemp's into the top 5.
Ryan Swan there as well, trying to join in on the mix, having a solid run in 8th, and there's Shane Therien in the 9, hard to miss in the prime number 9, the orange sticking out, running inside the top 15, but he's got Jake Nichols on his bumper. Haven't talked about him too much yet. He's been avoiding wrecks left and right, and now he's knocking on the door for 15.
Yeah, Shane Therien, last year's winner here at Charlotte. Haven't really talked a lot about him tonight. Started deep in the field and quietly making his way forward. He's generally kept his nose out of trouble. A long, long way to go here this evening as he'll give way to the 73 and a little bit of drama just ahead.
He was in some crashing, not of his doing, as Ben Pierce almost has a date with the outside wall, but he gets denied. Thankfully for him, he'll take that Weishart to the inside, try to take advantage. I thought he was pretty totaled in that crash, but 33 car doesn't look too bad compared to some others around him.
There's Pierce trying to hold off Jake Nichols, but going to hold him off for the backstretch, but Nichols still trying to find a way. He might have the outside lane, actually, as up front, it's actually the 51 of Matt Kemp that is blinking in and out. We got Alex Bell on the inside. Another car blinking in front of him. That's Ryan Swan. He's jumped up to 4th.
Yeah, Ryan Swan's in contention here for a top 5 spot. They could do with it.
He's another one who could be on fresher tires as well. Not quite sure,
yes,
but he is motoring around these guys.
You're right about that, Connor. As have a look at the left-hand side of the screen. Stint length, lap since pit. 25 for the front 2 leaders, and then Swan on the inside. 9 lap fresher, same as Weishart, and similar to Jake Nichols.
And so Nichols, I gotta assume he's probably not pushing his stuff as hard, because I feel like he would have came to the front if he was. Meanwhile, Ryan Swan, Weishart would be trying to push a little bit harder to get a little bit more track position. And Swan's just trying to get the lead immediately here, go to the front and use that advantage, and hope for the run to go long so he can build up a bigger gap. But with how fast Jeff Wright is short run, he is gonna fight incredibly hard to stay ahead of that 20.
Yeah, working out now for the 20 of Swan. Here comes Groner to the inside of McKinney for 3rd. Forbes Jr. watching from behind as Groner still to the inside of McKinney, trying to get alongside him on corner exit so he could get the side draft, but McKinney shuts the door.
A lot of little half attempts to pass, opening the door and not really being able to get their frame through it. And I think drivers are a little bit more tentative. They're being aggressive on entry, but they can't really commit to it without washing up the hill. A little scramble here. Down the back straightaway, Kemp in the middle of everything.
And Alex Bell has not been shy of putting it 3 wide, but he hasn't been able to hold it down there. Weishart's got the fresher rubber, so he'll probably be able to hold that around the outside of everyone. Poole's kind of stuck up there. Now here comes Jake Nichols trying that higher line.
Yeah, Nichols passing as Greg Mitchell for the 11th spot. Trey Eisenhold's 10th, but not for long as Nichols looks to the outside, but on the outside, Swan trying to stay in front of McKinney.
Couple battles throughout the field here. All in the camera shot down the back straightaway. McKinney trying to roll some speed on the bottom. Swan using 9 lap fresher tires up on the outside lane. And Connor, to your point, it was all about, getting a long run for the 20, but here he had to lift and in a big way.
And it hasn't been a long run. We're only 10 laps in, but it already looks like he might have worn his stuff out quicker than everyone else around him. I mean, he flew to the front, and he's already starting to pay for it. It looks like now he's stuck on the outside, starting to fall back to where he kind of came from. Now back in that battle for 3rd with Groner, who's on the inside. Forbes is looking like he's trying to decide who to follow through. I think he'll go to the inside of Swan himself, but it just shows how sensitive the tires are in this heat today, to where you have almost, what is it, like 9, 10 lap, or maybe 5 lap fresher tires. You make that difference, you can get to the front, but if you overstep your boundaries, you're going to go right back to the rear, and your tire's going to be worse than the guys with older tires.
Swan's seeing a lot of red as the cars pass him on the inside lane. He's still trying to stay in front of the 33 of Weishart, stay inside the top 5. Couple cars getting close to the wall corner exit, but Swan's trying to make his way back.
Oh gosh, I thought it was a lead car. It's months away off pace with a lot of damage.
Three wide as they work their way by that car in turns 3 and 4. 143-degree track temperature. That's about as hot as I've ever seen it in iRacing. I think I've seen 145, maybe 146 at Indianapolis one time, but we are inching closer to that temperature as David Weishart on fresher tires after the most recent incident is back up to 6th place. Make that 5th down the back straightaway.
And these are all 3 drivers in the top 10 who have those fresher rubbers. Swan really overwore his stuff. He's starting to fall back. Weishart still got some getting to the front, as well as the 73 of Nichols, who has to navigate around the outside of Swan, who's really struggling.
He has to dip and dodge, bob and weave as he works his way through the top 10 again. Matt Kemp to the inside. JT Poole, Alex Bell on the back half of the top 10, starting to get closer towards Swan, and Weishart and Nichols side by side for 5th.
Yeah, I think now that the math has landed on the longer run, or God forbid, more than 10-lap run, it's working out for those guys that have slightly fresher tires. Look at John Forbes Jr. now trying the outside of Bronner, but he's not going to have the stick to hold that lane. The 73 will be able to do it on the bottom and still pull up alongside here on the straightaway. Not quite.
Forbes drove it hard on the corner exit, but you could see it's hard to hold it up there without pounding the wall down out of the corner. It's kind of why he's coming further down the track, pinching the 11 a little bit more. Nichols sees that Groner can't make the pass, or the 78's faster, so he'll go around the outside, tap the wall in the process, but had enough momentum to almost clear Philip Groner, but not quite able to do so, as Forbes is looking fast. All of a sudden, he's going to be inside of Blaze McKinney. I thought the 87 would battle the 48 more, but has not been the case.
Still trying to manage some of the tires here as we're inching closer towards halfway, about 8 laps outside of that. Jeff Ray still leads, but Nichols still on the charge. He's inside the top 5 now. He's going to look for a run on the outside for 3rd. He's going to have just that on John Forbes Jr. Strong run down the back.
Nichols looks to the inside. The JT Poole takes a big swing. Back there at Ryan Swan into turn 3. 2x2 back here for 7th, Connor.
I'm not sure what happened there. It looked like Swan and Poole might have had contact down the back, and it put Swan in the wall a little bit, but the 20 just doesn't have anything left, and everyone's trying to scramble to get past him, kind of like everyone was trying to scramble past Jake Nichols earlier in the race. Poole's by. Kemp's trying to send it to the inside to get by as that 20 continues to fade almost outside the top 10 as Garrett Grant's up next, but Swan still has a little fight left around the outside.
Tough place for Garrett Grant because the 20 of Swan is slower with the older tires, or the tires are fading more on him, but then you got a blinking Matt Kemp here inside, so you gotta have to pick and choose which lane you want to be in, because you can't see the 51. Oh, and they make contact there off turn 4, just got into the 20 of Swan. You have to pick and choose your battles.
And for just as quickly as Nichols got to the front, he will get all the way there past Jeff Wright, and there's not really a lot of fight that the 48 can put up against this, Connor. And, well, he's going to try, as Nichols had to lift out of 2, but I think that was also because the 48 didn't want to hit the fence.
I think it was also because the 48 the car kind of reacted to dirty air. He had been in clean air this entire run. That was the first time he was behind anyone, and he pushed hard out of turn number 2 and probably had to jump out of the gas a little bit, swerve away from the wall. We'll see how he can maintain, as now Jake Nichols has the advantage big time because he is not down a set of tires. He's on the same set technically as the 48, but much fresher. He might start to build a gap as we got more battling throughout the field. Alex Bell is the aggressor tonight, as he's still trying to get 10th away from Ryan Swan.
We got Eitzen back there lurking, ready to pounce on any move, and John Furness there as well. I haven't talked about him too much tonight. Still closing in on this fight for the top 10, running in the 13th spot. Had to start all the way in the back in, 35th, but has been quietly making his way towards the top 10.
Yeah, he had a couple scary moments, couple accidents on those starts and restarts when he got piled in there, but not enough damage to take him out of the fight. And David Weishart now making his way forward with this 33. Not enough of a run on the back straightaway to get overlap here, but Forbes and McKinney going to go door to door in 3 and 4.
Forbes is showing he's maybe a touch faster right now, but Weishart might be a touch faster than both of them, but he's struggling more to make these passes than the 73 did, as Swan went into the AstroTurf a little bit. Not sure if he got contact or maybe it was a protective move.
Nah, I think he just got loose off turn 4, and that's why we saw him all the way down there. That's not real grass, like you mentioned, it's AstroTurf. So no agricultural work done for Ryan Swan's part, but he is outside the top 10 now.
It's just artwork.
I mean, for Ryan Swan, right? I mean, you could put fresher tires on, but if you can't make them last, it's almost not worth doing because you're just going to, give up track position trying to get that advantage, and then you're just going to try to take too much advantage of it and end up burning your stuff off quick. And it's a real skill to save tires, Connor. And if you can't do it, you just can't do it, right? So try to gain yourself an advantage that is just going to give you a momentary boost. Probably isn't going to help you a lot.
Something you'll do near the end of the race if you have trouble saving the tires like that, but doing it kind of before halfway is probably going to put you in a hole, as we are getting close to halfway, about 2 laps away from it, but we're still probably 20-something laps away from mostly scheduled green flag stops. You could probably pit around lap 70 and maybe make it to the end, but I don't think you'll see anyone do that at this point in the race. As John Forbes, he's trying his hardest to get by the 87, but can't do it. Abby's in the wall and letting lead lap drivers by, as is Cedric Hunter.
Yeah, a couple of lap cars injected in the mix of this fight for position, as Weishardt's still trying to get around the outside of John Forbes for 4th spot, but to no avail. He's still trying that outside lane, trying to get a strong enough run to where he can get alongside of him, but hasn't been able to do that just yet. Can have a nice run here off 4, but have to wiggle and back out.
Yeah, this is when, you've got that Fox Sports graphic. Love to watch it go up and down, up and down, up and down. He's had an interesting night. Started 20th, fell all the way back to the tail of the field. Now he's running as high as he has all day long up in 5th place. But he, too, seems to have lost some of his advantage following these other 2 drivers, Connor.
He just wasn't able to keep the tires on him just as well. Not quite falling as bad. Now, we got a crash. Connor Okrezik might have had a crash with Ryan Swan. It's Swan that's in the inside wall, though, but we stay green as we get halfway.
Take a look at the replay. They just come up.
Swan comes off the wall.
He hit the wall.
Wow.
Oh, and he hit it pretty good on the inside.
Put him in a, well, he's still rolling. I thought he'd come down pit lane and service that car. He has elected not to. A lot of smoke still here. Hope it doesn't spook people as they come back around.
Meanwhile, John Forbes made the pass for 2nd.
Back there, JT Poole trying to navigate his way past David Weisharddt, starting to fade a little bit. Tires starting to wear a little more for the 33s, falling down to 8th. Garrett Grant sliding up to 7th. Boy, oh boy, that was a strong move from the 5.
And here he comes to the outside. Look at him, 32nd to 7th tonight. What a monster climb he's had. And then watch Philip Grauner again try to get some overlap on Blaze McKinney. Philip Grauner has not really spent a lot of time single file tonight. He's always been, just like Alex Bell, just flirting with someone's quarter panel here.
He's done a lot of work just forcing drivers off the bottom, and it's not really like he's making the passes work every time. His win rate when he forces people to the outside is probably like 5% tonight, but he's forcing them off the line where they want to save their tires, making them use their stuff up more and hoping that pays off later in the run. But that time McKinney didn't pinch. He tried to drive the way outside line, and he got a little bit of a run off the corner, but a lot of wheel spin. Seems like Groner, he's been trying to save his stuff a little bit harder than everyone else around him. Not really paying off yet, but he is still hanging in the top 5, but JT Poole's trying to go now. And this is the issue. If you can't make this pass on the bottom, you're going to be at risk of having a number of drivers lining up on your outside to make it work. JT Poole's next in line.
Out the bumper of McKinney, you see Poole knocking on the door for that top 5. Garrett Grant starting to knock a little bit as well. Groner still to the inside, going to wash up a little bit on exit, but still have a strong enough run to stay alongside him down the back.
Into turn 3. Still door to door here with McKinney and JT Poole. He's going to start losing his patience sitting behind these 2 because he's got Garrett Grant breathing down his neck right behind, so he can't wait very long either.
Yeah, he's trying to go as fast as he can. Not sure if Grant has fast with tires, but he's starting to use his stuff up near the halfway, just past the halfway point of the race. Now Poole's going to go higher, get some cleaner air while this 80's bit of a pinch is the 11 down. But there's more, I think, more lap traffic ahead where Groner might be able to use it to his advantage if it plays out.
Ed Robertson, the lap car on the outside, trying to stay out of this as much as possible. Still a good battle between McKinney and Groner, and David Weishardtdt coming down pit road. Yeah, that's a tough part about pit road, Kyle. I don't think we talked about it yet. Getting down to the apron, trying to slow down and especially without sideways of 33 was. That's 24 degrees of bank and all the way to none on pit road.
Extra intensity down there because of that pit wall didn't used to be there. If you missed pit lane, you missed it. Now you hit a fence. As now O'Bronner's gotten by the 87. Now JT Poole would like to get by.
Kind of what we saw Monday night, although McKinney had damage Monday night that put him down the order on the long run that we saw. Starting to really struggle, trying to defend as much as he can on the outside. There's only so much you can do as you see Weishart finally come out of pit lane, as does maybe the 14 of Okresic, who might have also came down the pit, as they'll have a long way to go on one set of tires if that's what they choose to do. Damaged Munsell many laps down out of pit lane as the 87 starts to fade, but he holds JT Poole off at least another lap.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing here, Jeff Wright slowly starting to close in on Jake Nichols, just a little bit faster that last time by, but the gap is getting down to about half a second between the two, as John Forbes Jr. still holds the third spot, but he's got Philip Groner still inching closer behind him.
This is surprising to me, actually, because I would have thought Jake Nichols would have been a little better at saving tires, but actually it's been Jeff Wright. Quick in the short run, maybe gives up a lot of speed in the mid run, but in the long run it looks like things are tipping back Jeff Wright's direction, Connor. So really great speed out of this 48 that I think he can use. The challenge he'll have is if there's a like a 20 to 30 lap run, he needs like a 50 lap run or a 5 lap run, nowhere really in between.
The fact he could run that hard on the short run and still have maybe some of the best tires in the field near the end of this run is pretty impressive and pretty dangerous for the rest of the season once we keep getting mile-and-a-half races like this. We end the season at Atlanta, so that would be a big plus if he can do that next week, as Joey Chapman's slow on the apron. But yeah, it is interesting how Nichols is falling a little bit. Maybe he uses tires up like the 33 and the 20 a little bit too much to make that work to get to the front. As you can see, he's struggling. He slid big time through turn 3 and 4. I don't know if you caught that, Hunter, but it looked like he was fighting it the entire way around.
I caught that, and the lap times will catch that as well. It's about 2/10 quicker that time for Jeff Wright. Starting to get close now. 4 car lengths separating the 73 and the 48. Well, John Forbes Jr. still holding on to the third, but even those guys behind Kyle, they're slowly starting to creep in on this.
And Garrett Grant I've been watching. He's also been running some pretty competitive times and moving his way further forward. He does have some pressure from Trey Eitzen, who narrowly avoided a couple of wrecks earlier in the evening. He's up to 8th now in that 22. And then John Furness, how about this run? Involved in 2 of the restart wrecks, Connor, but you know, repaired the nose of the car, and here he is in the top 10.
Making it work as best he can. I think he'd take a top 10 run after all the chaos he's been through, as we're starting to see. I mean, right there. Matt Kemp with us. Well, my goodness, he's still drifting it.
Blinking in and out, it don't matter. He can hold that wheel straight, and that's what he just did through turn 2. But JT Poole, Blaze McKinney, siding up in turn 4.
Ooh, that was dicey.
Here comes Weishart. He's got fresher tires. He's just trying to avoid all this. I think Poole's patience is running thin. He's been stuck behind McKinney. And look at the time they've lost to Philip Groner and John Forbes, as they got to give room to the 33. As that battle goes on, once again, Jeff Wright closed in again. It's under 0.4 of a second, as Poole still can't do anything. Now here comes Okresic to try to get some track position back on fresh tires.
Roll reversal. Now the lap cars are faster than those on the lead lap because they've all come down pit road. They got fresh rubber.
And this is so frustrating as a driver because they're doing absolutely nothing wrong, but you still see that name pop up in blue on your screen, and you just want them gone. But they are doing a different strategy. Everyone paid to race here, so you've got to kind of be courteous to them in that, and you would expect the same when you're in that position. But they're starting to get down to crunch time here, closing in on 50 laps to go. So you can make a pit stop now and make it to the end, Connor, and it's all about when you choose to do that. That will determine what happens the next 30 minutes.
And like we saw Weishart, Okresic, they've come down, saw Alex Weaver pit and Pierce pit. I saw James Scaiola pit. He's actually just unlapping himself. So he's a little off strategy as well, as the gap lead still 0.3 of a second. We're yet to see anyone top 10 come down besides the 33.
Yeah, the lap traffic's starting to get the best of Jake Nichols. Jeff Wright starting to benefit from this. 3 car lengths of a second separating the top 2, as you saw the lap cars go by both Nichols and Jeff Wright, who is starting to work his way on the bottom. Nichols running the outside trying to generate a run.
Just look at the difference between the lap times. Jeff's best lap time was a 31.81. He just ran a 34.2, and that is a 12 to 13 mile an hour difference in miles per hour average over the course of the lap. That's how significant you have to back things down, Connor. It feels like you're driving an ocean liner around here after a few laps.
The one thing I'm noticing is how different the lines have gotten. Usually you'd see the leader plant in the bottom. Jake Nichols, we saw him struggling. He's moved up at least one and a half lanes, running the middle of the track, just trying to get a run out of the corner and just try to just have some stability out of the corner, really. I think that's why he's doing it, but he had a big moment out of there because of Cedric Hunter, and Jeff Wright on the bottom still got a better run than him, but he's just hanging on. You can tell when you're moving your line around like that while you're leading, trying to hold off the driver in second, you can tell you're just hanging on, waiting for the pit stop.
Yeah, Jeff Wright holding a pretty wheel down on the bottom, staying within 3 car lengths of Jake Nichols, as not even just Jeff Wright catching him. John Forbes, Philip Groner, they've been running lap times slowly but surely quicker than the front two. So starting to pay off for both Forbes and Groner. Blaze McKinney, though, has got a handful. You see some more takers down pit road.
Ed Robertson.
And Greg Mitchell is going to follow him down there as well. And ahead of him is the 70 is Cedric Hunter. Some rear end damage that he got earlier in the night.
Still Greg Mitchell's in. Yeah, these guys are hanging on. I think a lot of them are staying out long because they're worried about getting caught by a yellow and just not wanting to have to take a wave. Look how late out of the corner that is. That is how much of a struggle it is when the track temp's 140 degrees. Now, we're still waiting on the majority of the field to pit. The leader of drivers who have pit is actually Scioli. He has gotten his lap back. He's an 18th. Right now, he's the leader on this strategy. Weishart's a little farther behind him, but fresher tires starting to close in.
Yeah, 34.3 for both Nichols and Wright, 34.1 for John Forbes, 34.2 for Groner, McKinney, and Trey Eidson, JT Poole. So tires are starting to wear a little bit more for the front two as Trey Eidson moves up to 6th.
Love this livery on the 22. Great looking Oval 1 paint. Kind of reminds me of the old Sam Hornish cars, which I always thought were some of the best looking in the field. And chasing down Blaze McKinney's 87. Little lap traffic there, the 84 of Shane Abbey, who has been
always struggling.
2 laps down.
Oh, a fight for the lead.
Yep, JT, I was about to say the same thing. I was worried about JT Poole behind Abbey, but he's gotten away from him. But Ed Robertson just came out of the pits, really slowed up to 73. But now this is where Jeff Wright's going to struggle with drivers passing him when he's trying to pass someone. Weaver and Robertson both have fresher tires, having to repass these guys.
Yeah, lap traffic bobbing and weaving through Jeff Wright, Jake Nichols. Oh, boy.
That's, who is it? I'm trying to figure out where it is on course. Jeremy Miller, maybe?
Jeremy Miller, yep.
Oh, this is off the 60. And these two have had a history tonight.
Joey Chapman has fresher tires. Miller yet the pit.
Didn't really try very hard to...
Just blew through the went in the back of him. Miller couldn't save it. Ooh, gosh, Mutzel almost went through. And that really, I don't know if that helps or hurts the 7 and the 33 and those guys. They are lead lap, but I don't think they want to stay out on those tires.
No, I think it hurts him. That's a perfect way to describe it, Kyle.
Yeah.
It's a headache for people. It's a headache for everyone.
Well, it's setting us up just prior to 40 to go also. We'll have about 40 to go on the restart. So I am going to, based on what we saw earlier, I would not bet on getting us 40 laps to the end. So I would be thinking of getting 4 fresh tires and hoping that I landed in a good enough spot that I can make my way through it and get the positions I need. I don't think you're going to be able to drive through everyone in the next 40 laps without more conflagrations. So see what happens. Onto pit lane. Does that 2 tires would be death? I don't think you can do that.
No, you're not doing it. You'd only do it if it's green, white, checkered. But like this did ruin Scioli, Weishart, everyone who had pit. They had to take their next set. They all did. So nothing they can do there.
I'd say this hurts John Forbes as well because he had caught up to the front too, and had they stayed out another 5 laps or so, he probably would have gone around both Jeff Wright and Jake Nichols for the lead. And then if the yellow would have come out, that would have changed everything.
All right, well, we've got a yellow flag, and about time because I need to read through some more things before we get all the way to the end here. A lot of green flag running after a 4 yellow sprint in the first 40 laps or so of this race. Lead Entertainment, add some life to this party. this summer with Elite Entertainment, located in Boiling Springs, South Carolina. Elite Entertainment provides high-quality band production to entertain at any location. Visit Linktree/Elite Entertainment LLC for all contact info, and check out the High Banks podcast. Just two blue-collar guys, Nick and Alex, talking about NASCAR and more. Make sure you check out episode 205 with Brad Slaughter, available on Spotify. And of course, it's been spicy tonight, as it has been so far. Head over to rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Of course, we got that Golden Garlic Loxahatchee Classic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. And make sure you're checking in on the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver takes home that $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. All right. Well, about 44 laps to go, guys, and our fifth yellow of the night sets us up for a pretty frantic run to the end, Connor. Let's re-predict how things are going to pan out from here. What do you call?
Re-predict our winner, or just re-predict how the race is going to go?
Yes.
I mean, I kind of worried. That seemed like it was going to be our green flag run. Kind of ended by shenanigans by the 60th, 30. But we're going to restart just over 40 laps to go. There's still possibility we could go green to the end from here, but your time on pit road under green is definitely done. But it only takes 10, 15 laps for these tires to get incredibly worn out. If we go green until lap 105, 110, that's the kind of 105 to 115, that's really where things strategy-wise could get scrambled, because most drivers probably have 1 to 2 sets of tires left. Some drivers might take their final set. Some drivers might even still try to be done on tires to the end of this race, but if we get a yellow somewhere between her, I don't think that's going to work. You're really going to want to make sure you have that set of tires if we get that one more yellow.
Yeah, that could be the difference maker here for someone in the field, whether that be someone running up front in points like a Zach Nichols, or maybe a Garrett Grant, or someone in the back like Colin Fambro, Blaze McKinney even. He's had a solid run. He's all the way back in 25th, given it's just the first 2 races of the season, but already in the deep hole in points, going to want to climb yourself out of it, Kyle, because just like the Cup and the Truck Series, we're almost halfway through the season, a regular season, that is.
So with the one to green here, we've got 34 drivers running and 26 on the lead lap. Jake Nichols leads the way, and he's elected for the outside lane here, Connor. That's an interesting choice.
He's got Philip Groner, teammate behind him. Probably try to time it together, maybe try to jump to 48, but how hard? We've seen Jeff Wright drive it into the corner on these restarts. I'm not sure that's gonna work out. But Groner's gonna try to get the jump on the 48 and the 70, who he's been 78, excuse me, which he's been fast, but Groner, I feel like he can compete for this win, but he's got to get priority ahead of the 48 and 70, and that's just really tough. I think Jeff Wright's really hard to beat. We've seen how good he is.
But we've also seen how bad some of these restarts have been, even the initial starts, so fingers crossed that we can get through this one unscathed.
Well, things are amped up. Track temps come down a little bit. It's almost cool out there, 141.
Nice spring day.
Here we go. 42 laps to go from Charlotte. And green flag at the outside lane gets a nice launch behind Jake Nichols.
It's probably the only weakness Jeff Wright's had is restarts. He's on him again. That's going to let Groner get here for second.
A really bad restart there from Jeff Wright, and Trey Eitzen looking to the outside as well, trying to take third away. That'll be a good run for him. Going to be tight though, almost hit the wall.
Philip Groner to second place, Jeff Wright back to third. You mentioned Trey Eitzen in the 22 to the outside lane, carrying good speed out there. JT Poole's got Shane Therian, last year's winner, up there as well in that orange number 9 prime car.
9 has been all over the place tonight as far as track position. He's another one. The graph would be up, down, up, down. But he's in contention to maybe get a decent finish out of this. And never know what can happen. Last season's winner up into the top 10. JT Poole's at 9th. He's been lingering around here all race as well, but just has not been able to really compete for the higher up positions yet.
There you see the blue 26 trying to just stay afloat here as watch the field fly by. There's a car coming down pit road, and Jake Nichols still leads the way, but Groner had to look to the outside. Jeff Wright, though, going to give him some pressure.
Yeah, I think Groner went up there. Jeff Wright's following him to build a bit of a run onto the back straightaway here. And enough of a run that he's going to pull alongside Jake Nichols. Battle for the lead, and it's a 3-horse race for first place with 40 laps to go.
It definitely looks like Jake Nichols, he's trying to save the tires a little bit more than he did last run. And he's probably going to have to get on track position to do that.
Yeah, towards the end of his run, it's starting to fade a bit more. Jeff Wright, though, still applying pressure to Groner. Going to look even higher on the racetrack, trying to get a strong enough run to get alongside his quarter panel there. Not going to be enough. Some field fans down the back.
Yeah, Jeff Wright's been able to apply pressure in the opening laps after run and then save the tires. But Jake Nichols, I think, is trying to do some saving up front to make sure he's got the most Goodyear left for the last 10, 15 laps of this race. Connor, I like that strategy. You just can't fall back too far, though, because then you have to use up everything you save just to get back by.
I think if he could stay third or fourth, that's exactly what he would want to do right now. Just watch this battle happen.
I couldn't quite get a run there to the inside, but still has a pretty good look at that 11. Down the back and side by side for fifth. That is Forbes and McKinney going at it. Forbes to the inside, McKinney on the outside. Metcalf still blinking in and out, but trailing not too far behind.
Matt Kemp's got that carrier pigeon internet, probably also known as Xfinity.
McDonald's internet.
Ooh, little door-to-door action into turn one. Forbes and McKinney, so tight.
Forbes at the apron, gonna walk it up the track and not into the 87, but it's gonna let Matt Kemp have the run. As Forbes, he was running very well on the long run, but I don't think the yellow's what he wanted. He's starting to fall back a little bit as Trey Eitzen kind of sits in front of these drivers, while Jake Nichols sits in front of them. As looks like the 51 high off the corner. Doesn't look like Wright's really charging too hard at Philip Groner at this point.
I think a better term for him would be phantom internet because he's appearing in and out of nowhere.
Well, his internet's very real, but the service is not so good. That he is just riding the wave there out of turn two, isn't he?
I think it's a little too high. I don't think he get a run doing that.
Ooh, man, look at Forbes jamming down to the bottom. He is not willing to give it up to the 87 just yet.
Kenny's been pinching drivers on the long run, especially. We saw how close him and JT Poole got. I don't think Forbes is wanting to waste his time, really, but he has no choice. McKinney's not going to give him the room. It takes a little while for that higher line near the wall to become much faster, like what the 51's trying. So McKinney's just going to try to keep pinching these drivers down so he can get the run up the corner, ruin the 78's run off of the corner, and then he'll get the bump from Matt Kemp at the end of the straightaway here.
Yeah, Kemp actually looking to the outside of Forbes there. Just kept flipping the apron. McKinney holds clear of fifth. Eitzen with a mirror full of this behind him. And then a little further back behind this, Poole just got around just Anasogak, who we haven't talked about Anasogak tonight, but he's had a solid run inside the top 10.
Yeah, started 16th. Another driver that has mostly kept the nose clean on this car tonight. I don't see a scratch on it, at least on the nose or tail. And running inside the top 10 now with laps dwindling. This is one of those days, Connor, that you just like to snag a top 10 for the top 10s column and maybe try to claw your way towards the top 5. But don't take a 9th place car and try to put it 5th if you can't do it.
And he needs something to go his way. He's 42nd in points. He had a great run at Daytona, wrecked late in that one, but he has not had the 2 races go his way yet. As Kemp fired it to the outside, but it's one of the highest running open cars on the track right now, so great run for the 88 so far. As a lonely world on the top line for Matt Kemp, but he got a good run.
Yeah, it didn't get sideways for once, as still trying to navigate his way around. John Forbes on the inside, trying to get a big enough run underneath McKinney in the 87. Meanwhile, Nichols still holding on the third, but got a little bit high there. Trey Eitzen holds clear fourth, but up front still, Phil Groner leading.
All Chevrolets in the top 10 with the exception of JT Poole. And have a look at the lap times. Jake Nichols was pretty quick last time around. He was the fastest driver of the top 3. Is that a harbinger of things to come? Perhaps. Putting himself in the right spot.
And Matt Kemp pulled a crossover that time instead of carrying the run on the top. He kind of cut it to the bottom, middle of the corner, but did not have enough run to clear the 78 of Forbes, and Forbes ends up getting a run. He's going to go back to the inside of Blaze McKinney as the 51 could not stay to the inside.
Well, it's a rotating door for that 5th position. Forbes now going to take clear of that spot. McKinney going to settle in. Kemp JT Poole. You can throw the first 8 cars under a blanket, Kyle, all within a second of each other.
Yeah, all single filed out now. I thought for sure we would have some more aggression on that restart and keep us kind of in a shorter runs to the end, but it has not been the case. Rain since our restart 12 laps ago and just 30 to go, and Jake Nichols is beginning to apply some pressure here. Back to Jeff Wright for second place. He's turning the wick back up here.
It's a little earlier than I thought he would go, but he started running that middle line very early on, maybe 5 laps ago, and he might have found something trying to make that work to get by the 48, but then Jeff Wright reacts. He ran way high through 1 and 2, carried a big run off the corner to re-clear to 73. We might start to see him apply some pressure to the 11 in response.
Look at this out of turn 2. Watch the 33. Facing John Furness and had to swing to miss him.
Reaction time, it's what you need at these types of races. As more side-by-side, JT Poole, Matt Kemp once again side-by-side, as Poole will once again have to try to get by the 87 of McKinney once he gets by the 51 Taco Bell machine of Kemp. Big run off the corner.
That's if you can still see him. The 51's still blinking in and out. But now Poole looks to the inside of McKinney for P6 as Jeff Wright almost got passed by Jake Nichols there, and I think he just did. Here comes Eisen for third.
Oh, that was aggressive. He just shoved him up the corner, Kyle. Looked like a slide job. He didn't fully complete it, but he just roughed up Jeff Wright enough to kind of force the 48 out of it.
Yeah, I don't know that Jeff Wright will be stoked about that, but fair play for Jake Nichols. He just overcommitted. And Jeff Wright's going to roll the outside on the 22 of Eitzen and try to fight this back. I don't think he's going to be thrilled that he has to battle the 22. I think he'd really like to bring it back to Nichols. He might feel like he's got one of the best cars in this race, but Nichols has been saving tires. He's got his chamber loaded here. 27 laps to go.
And that's the real issue, is that not only is he back to third, but now he's going to have to battle the 22 and 78 to keep that track position up. So he's got to keep this position to stay in the fight. If you're not probably in the front 2 rows in case you get a restart, if you're not in the top 4, not much of a shot. But like we saw last run, Hunter, we're starting to see John Forbes come back to the front on the longer runs. He's back up to 4th past Eitzen.
Yeah, it's starting to slowly but surely creep on in and looks to the inside of Jeff Wright for third, but that 48's been strong on the outside all night long, and he's going to stay there. Going to have a strong run on corner exit, but Forbes still creeping in, knocking on the door. Nichols closing in on teammate Phil Groner.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting fight. These two are leading the championship standings here. They're both locked into the playoffs already. So there's not really any reason why these drivers wouldn't fight hard for this, because they've got nothing to lose. I think Nichols is in a better spot here, but the 11 has really been up front the entire night. He's led almost 35 laps.
Problem is now Philip Groner's been the one sitting in clean air, probably keeping the tires in a better condition, and he's been on the bottom for most of those laps as they go by Cedric Hunter, but it'll be interesting to see. Contact. Oh, we're not done yet. Watch out, Cedric Hunter. Now the 22 got the bump from Blaze McKinney in response. Now we're 3 wide. The 22 is going to get used as a pick play here, and there's nothing he can do about it. That could have been huge. They're still side by side for third.
Man, Jeff Wright or Jimmy Johnson in that 48. I mean, what a save from the 48. He was sideways, and that could have been a disaster there, Kyle. That could have been the end of his race, John Forbes' race, and everyone else behind. But these two are still going at it for the podium spot.
That was really dicey. They went off into turn 1 behind this lap traffic, and Wright turned left to miss him on entry here, and right here. And he just gets tagged. Huge slide. And then Trey Eitzen, I think what I'm so impressed by this here is he gets tagged in the left rear. He gets in behind this traffic, and Connor, he doesn't drive through him. He sits back here. It's frustrating, but then he waits, and he preserved the car. He preserved the moment. He'll live this fight another day. If he just kept his foot in the throttle and been frustrated about it, he'd be wrecked in day over.
Yeah, if you tried putting him 4 wide, definitely would have been a crash, but I was just worried about what that did to the 48 and 22's tires for this final 20 or so lap run.
Yeah, meanwhile, Nichols and Groner going to check out a little bit from that. About 4 car lengths separating Nichols and Jeff Wright. As the 22 of Eitzen falls back to 7th after that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a painful moment to let that go, but you have to consider, is it worth taking this 4 wide? Is it worth drilling that lap car in the rear bumper on corner exit? I think there was a lot of self-preservation that Eitzen did right there that I think other drivers might not have done, and I think that'll pay dividends for him in the season-long championship effort. You know, like I said earlier, in regards to think it was Justin Anasogak, if your car can't do it, don't make it do it. It's not going to work out well. You know, the amount of times that you overstep the boundary and the limits of the grip and yourself and you come out on top, those are few and far between, but it's a lot more common to overstep your bounds and end up in the wall.
Yeah, definitely something you got to be aware of over a season-long championship, or at least a regular season long for 12 races. You got to be out there to finish, so that's what you got to be aware of. And what I'm starting to see is a lot of drivers aware of how this track has changed. We're seeing the main line almost starting to be in the middle of the racetrack on that seam that you're seeing out of the back of the 11 of Philip Groner. Track time's still very high at 144, but no one's really wrapping the bottom anymore as this run goes longer and longer, Hunter. These leaders are itching up towards the high line that Jake Nichols was running at the end of the previous run. Seems like everyone else has adopted that line.
Starting to get towards that part of the race where you're not going to get too many laps left. 20 to go this time at the line, and the outside lane's been the lane to be in if you want to generate a run, try to get around people, because the bottom, most of the time people just use that, but the outside lane is free use. But we're at that part now where you're not going to use these tires for much longer, so you might as well get all you got in them on that outside lane.
Jake Nichols has been pretty patient back here. Last time by, he was 1/1000th of a second quicker than Groner in the lead. So, biding his time here, under 20 laps to go now. 10 minutes left in this race. Now it becomes a chess match here. Strategy is out the window. These front 15 or 20 cars are all in the same strategy. It just comes down to who can wheel it the best.
I think Nichols does have a little bit more speed, but he carried it in hard into a corner, almost hit the bumper of Groner, and now he's going to cut it down to the inside, getting out of Groner's dirty air so he can get out of the corner. Big wiggle by the 51 in the back, but he's getting out of the dirty air on corner exit so he can turn that thing down and get a better run than the 11. And he made it work in 1 and 2, but not quite enough to get alongside. He was faster last time by. John Forbes was faster than all of the top 3 last time by as well, as was JT Poole in 6th.
Yeah, 4th place, 6th place, running laps faster than the front 2. They're still trying to navigate their way inside a winning position. Forbes trying to get inside the podium paying spot, and then JT Poole trying to get inside the top 5. Just buying his time, but not going to be too much time left. Only 18 to go, 17 this time at the line.
And it's becoming very quickly more than a 2-horse race. Wright, Forbes, McKinney, they're all right here. And as soon as Jake Nichols opens the door here on Groner and really starts to pressure him, Connor, I think we're going to have a much bigger battle on our hands.
I think that's what Jeff Wright's waiting for. I think he's waiting for the 73 to make that move. It definitely seems like he's in preserve mode as they get by the lap traffic. Brave Slate might slow up Groner a little bit, but Jake Nichols not close enough to make a move, and he'll definitely mess up the 48's line into a corner. But I think the 48, those drivers, they're trying to save something. Once the 73 tries to make this move, they're going to slow each other up, being side by side. That's when the 48 will try to take advantage and pass both of them.
Just 2 car lengths separating Jeff Wright and Jake Nichols, 2nd and 3rd on the racetrack right now, as lap traffic starting to play a little bit of a factor as the top 5 or so try to navigate their way through. Nichols starting to get a big run on the outside.
Groner has to protect that. He's throttled up early on in the middle of the corner, trying to protect from that move by the 73. Now we'll see how high he does move up the racetrack to try to defend that. He did defend it, exactly what I thought would happen. Nichols tried it again. Groner defended it. Now he turns it down the track to get the run out of the corner. He got a big run out of the corner. He might have a run in the turn 1 if he wants it.
Yeah, Nichols is prioritizing that exit speed, and that might pan out a little better. He's got a bit of pace on Groner in the lead, but he's got to pick his run nicely here. If he gets caught up underneath the 11 and gets stuck, Wright's going to be right there to jump on him, Hunter. So 14 to go next time by. The battle's on for the lead.
Strong run down the back for Jake Nichols. Going to apply it to the bumper of his teammate Philip Groner. He's going to protect the outside lane. Nichols going to try and back off and try to diamond it in, but that 48 of Jeff Wright's right there. John Forbes Jr. as well. The front 4 all within half a second of each other. 14 to go.
This is going to be a great battle here to the end. It already has been, but look at the 48 fired in there on the bottom. Connor, he loaded that gun up and took a shot to close in on the 73.
But then look how much he loses. He's not putting himself in a position. Oh, Abby hit the wall hard. Eidson's able to avoid. I think we'll keep it. No, here we go, into the wall again. Everyone's got to avoid him. Oh, they're crashing. They piled into him. Brad Slaughter piled into him, and the caution's out. And that changes everything.
Yeah, 13 laps to go now. We're going to get a restart with under 10. It was for Shane Abbey, who got into the wall out of turn 2. I think he broke something, and
I don't think Slaughter ever saw him.
No, I don't think he would have. That probably would be helpful if Shane got on the radio and just said, "Hey guys, I'm in the fence."
Or anyone
Slow
else.
up high, yeah. I mean, they're all just unsighted. They can't see anything. We're going to look off the right shoulder where we can see it, but
yeah, there's no way he saw anything.
That's when communication is of utmost importance there.
And that's why iRacing has a radio system. You at least got one of those half dozen drivers got to use it to let them know, but no one communicated that from what I heard. Abbey hit the wall, tried to save it. He tried to keep it up there, and he did.
I mean, he's doing his best here,
up there.
But, you know, 4 laps down. He had made up a bunch of spots, actually, on some other drivers that were laps down, but hate to see
this
correctly cause another accident, but pit lane.
Busy place. And this is where it gets interesting. Weishart stayed out in the 33. I think he's out of tires, so he has no choice. And I don't think he'll be the only one who has to stay out. But this is, Hunter, maybe where you see drivers take 2. We'll just have to find out.
Yeah, 2-tire territory is what I'd call it. John Forbes Jr., Jeff Wright, maybe. Trey Eidson in the 22. No, everyone's just playing conservative, taking 4.
Ooh, looks like Groner got him.
Yeah, so now we're back on equal footing. What you did the previous 10 laps, 15, 20 laps, doesn't matter. It's going to be short run pace. The 48 has really struggled on restarts here, Connor, but one thing that's going to help him, I think, is that he's not on the front row this time, so he might be able to help himself because he can see the leader, and depending on which lane he ends up in, he might be able to get a good launch. Now, Weishart, as you mentioned, has 30-lap-old tires. He's going to drop like a hot stone in a Olympic pool.
I think he actually said he might be pitting here, so he might.
I would say that's wise. Hart.
Oh, good one.
I don't see.
Gold star.
Well, this is just, we've seen this play out in the real world too. When drivers don't have tires, they restart with 10 laps to go in front of the field, all on fresh tires, battling for the win. I mean, I can count. I mean, I lose count of how many times this has happened where you get huge pileups from this situation.
I bet Eric Jones wishes Cole Witt pit at the end of his title run. That's
part of it, right? I mean, I think David knows that you're not going to win the race by doing that, so you might as well.
It was wise of him to have the heart to come down pit road and give up the
See,
lead.
that would have been better, Kyle. Come on now.
Yeah.
I'm sure Werner will take it.
Says, I have no words. And yeah, I mean, he just got put in a bad spot. I mean, everyone just driving up on the back of Shane like, you know, nothing was going to happen, and just the speed differential there.
Yeah, like we were talking about, if I was Brad, I'd be absolutely livid no one called it out on the radio. He had 8 or so drivers pass him, and he was way off pace. Someone's got to communicate that. It doesn't have to be Shane Abbey. Just any one of these guys that pass him. Say something. 22, nothing. 7, 9,
so Alex,
15.
I think so. The question is, were these drivers, you hate to attribute to malice what you can attribute to, I don't want to call it stupidity, that seems pretty harsh, but on the back straightaway here, I mean, you see these cars coming down the stretch. They see the 12 or the 84 have issues. How long do they stay in behind? So that's not really that much time. I don't know that.
At the guy 7, 9, 15, they have less time to react. But someone like Trey Eidson, or who's that, Connor Okresic,
or
the 88 of Anasogak, someone's, or Abbey too. One of those 4, I would say. Call it out.
Yeah, I guess I'd give Abbey the benefit of the doubt that he's trying to keep the car up against the fence and couldn't get to his button or whatnot. But still, I mean, that's a tough scenario, right? Because the incident started, 3,000 feet before the caution did, right? So you try to avoid that situation.
Yeah, and at that point, it was too late for any of those guys who had just had to swerve out of the way to do anything. But those guys who had time, or even Abbey, like we said, got to get on the radio, I think, say something, or at least type something in chat or anything like that. Meanwhile, besides that, that's done and dusted. We're going to go to green with 9 laps to go with everyone on 4 fresh tires, probably out of tires. Not that you'd pit anymore anyways, but this is going to be interesting because now you have Philip Groner starting on the outside, putting his teammate Jake Nichols on the inside. It may be more surprising, it's kind of boxing in Jeff Wright on the bottom.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out for him. Again, I have to commend the 33 for, again, being smart about how this restart was going to go. He's going to restart 25th with no fresh tires, but We'll avoid more calamity. Before we get to the restart, though, race fans, make sure you visit shop.areairacing.com for high-quality merchandise at low prices. Shop from over 100 selections of t-shirts, hats, Champion brand clothing, and more area accessories. Easier to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. Shop.areairacing.com. All right, it'll be 9 laps to the end from here. Got our opportunity for overtime as well. You hope not to have to use it, but the intensity is on now. Groner, Nichols are your points leaders coming into the night, and we'll see if they can leave in the same way. Here we come out of turn 4. Pace car is going to take the hard left onto pit lane. 9 laps at Charlotte. Here we go. Restart zone. Nice clean launch by the 11. He's going to clear the 73. The 9 splits out a line in the background. Shane Varian's through the turf there as they head to turn 1-3 abreast.
Had to lift out of it, had no room. Another bad restart by the 48, but better than restarts past. You'll still be side-by-side for third. That restart actually hurt Blaze McKinney more. He's back in the 5th, and we're still side-by-side for the lead.
The drag race into 3. Nichols have a strong 1 and 2. Going to have a strong 3 and 4. Going to try and take advantage of the lead here as Groner's giving it all he's got on the outside. Here's a view from the flag stand with 8 to go.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting and spicy behind on the run down to turn 1. Not just for the lead, but for everyone else, too. John Forbes Jr. and Jeff Wright fighting for the chance to be third. They would like to be in the catbird seat for this battle in the next 7.5 laps.
Nichols had to lift just a little bit. That's going to make the difference. Let Groner re-clear the 73. Oh, they're still going to be side-by-side for third. They're almost banging doors for the third-place position. Now Jeff Wright has clean air on the bottom. You can see how hard he was able to drive it in. Side-by-side, dead even with Jake Nichols, but cannot get that run off the corner, and Groner's clear.
Here comes Blaze McKinney in the 87 trying to close in. Running in the 5th spot as Jeff Wright tries to hold on to third. Groner still leads through 1 and 2, but he's got Jake Nichols all over his bumper.
Jeff Wright's fighting a pretty impossible fight here on the bottom, I think. I don't know that he can complete this pass on the bottom unless he fires it in. And remember what Jake Nichols did to him. He drove him up the racetrack there, kind of did a slide job on him. He'd like to do the same, but he doesn't have momentum to do it.
Well, the problem, he doesn't have momentum to do it, but he doesn't have a gap to get up. If he tries to pull a slide job, he's wrecking Philip Groner, or maybe Forbes will go. Big chop. The 73 kind of blocked the 48. Now Wright blocks the 78 up to the top. Now everyone's probably going to be running the high line here. There goes Trey Eitzen to the inside. He's going to be the lone dog on the bottom, trying to make that blue and white line work. But everyone pinned to the middle of the top line here. Over the wall, that's Matt Kemp.
Yeah, Kemp got on the wall off turn 4 there, and not much you can do there. As to the inside of Jeff Wright for third, it's John Forbes Jr. Don't count him out in the 78 just yet.
This is wild stuff here out of turn 4. 5 laps to go from Charlotte. 2 teammates lead the way. John Forbes Jr. and Jeff Wright muscling each other for third place. And Blaze McKinney, he sees an opportunity. I thought he might go to the high side there, trying to sneak around Jeff Wright, but he wasn't committed all the way to the wall, and you've got to be. The 78 trying to clear up, but he can't.
It was so close, but not able to make it work. This battle might take these two out of it if they can't clear each other. Blaze McKinney's just going to try to push the 48 clear. He might try 3 wide on the top, Newman style, but not close enough to do it. Forbes got another good run through the center of the corner, but he just does not have enough grip on the bottom. Thiering in the wall, Weaver in the wall. They keep it straight again as Nichols has another run at his teammate. 5 laps to go. He's running out of time. Big dive by Forbes this time, but he's got Nichols to his outside. He won't be able to come up.
He's got Jeff Wright to the outside as well, so effort there for the 78 not going to plan. Groner trying to drive away a full car length advantage. Here comes Forbes to the inside.
Big lunge there into 3, but he's losing that gap between the 73 and 48. He's going to try to squeeze in there and side draft the 73, Connor.
But he's in there. That's going to make it work. He's able to at least get a hole in front of the 48. McKinney tried to get to the right rear of the 48, couldn't do it. You can see how things are stacking up. McKinney into the back of Jeff Wright, but no slide had by the 48. Furness and Therian, they will battle for a spot just outside the top 10. Things are frantic. We have just over 3 miles to go, and we still have a win to crown here as everyone's in that middle line. I'm shocked to see how this track has changed at this point in the run. Jake Nichols, it's a shame for him because he's out of options.
Yeah, he's going to have to send it in a little bit more within the last couple of laps or so as Jeff Wright tries to hold on the fourth. He's got Blaze McKinney to his inside looking for that position. Trey Eitzen, Connor O'Kresick as well, just watching this unfold.
JT Poole on the high side, Connor out of turn 2.
Ooh, McKinney put Jeff Wright in the wall out of turn number 2. 2010 style like the All-Star race. Now he's going to block O'Kresick. He almost made contact with McKinney again. He's going to shove him into the corner as the top 3 are going to get away from this battle coming to the white flag.
It's all Philip Groner holding back Jake Nichols, and the white flag's waving one more time from Charlotte.
Jeff Wright through the grass. He might have felt slighted by that contact there out of turn 2, but it's no mind. He doesn't have a chance to win this race anymore without major dramas at the front. Eitzen is in the center and out of turn 2. Down the back straightaway, Philip Groner and Jake Nichols. It's going to be a battle there as the 87 has a big moment. They're going to crash into turn 3 if they keep racing like this. 2 corners to go. Nichols to the bottom in 3 and 4. Philip Groner, first at Daytona, second at Pocono, out of turn 4. Will it be a first or will it be a second? Checkered flag. Nichols, Groner at the stripe. Groner gets it.
How about a week for photo finishes? What a race.
Wow. 18 thousandths of a second, and we got all the way to the checkered.
I don't think Trey Eitzen was happy with O'Kresick. He turned him after the finish.
Well, that'll be fun to judge after for post-race infractions, but yeah, amazing week for photo finishes at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This track always delivers, and it delivered in the end for Philip Groner.
Yeah, I mean, the 73, Jake Nichols, he times this perfectly, gets a great run on corner exit. They come out side by side, not banging fenders, not banging doors. They just race this all the way to the stripe, door to door, the old-fashioned way. And yeah, it's close. I mean, it almost feels like a mile compared to what we've seen the rest of the week. But 18 thousandths of a second is the win differential, and Groner has finished no worse than second place this year, and that was last week at Pocono.
He's been on an unreal run in the Pro Series, and I did not think it would be side by side of the line. It did not seem like Jake Nichols could get that run out of the corner to get side by side with him, but he found something down there to be able to make it work. He just did not have enough of a run off of the corner to get to the line first.
Well, that was fun. I mean, we got 3 great finishes here this week. Let's have a look at your race results. It's Philip Groner atop the board. No Fords in the top 10, but Jake Nichols follows up Groner, so they continue to lead the championship standings. And Connor, rest of the top 5, all drivers that were in the mix. I think the one big disappointed driver is going to be Jeff Wright, who got muscled out of the way in the late stages.
He got muscled in the late stages. Trey Eitzen was actually 3rd out of turn number 4 and kind of didn't make the slide job work as well, so he finished as 7th. Justin Sogak 9th, one of the highest finishing open drivers, and James Scioli, a rare time we really didn't talk about him tonight, but he'll take a top 10. John Furniss, I think, Hunter, he'll take 11th after all the struggles he had. A lot of drivers in this range who had a lot of struggles but got okay finishes.
Yeah, Therian Weaver got into the wall in the last handful of laps or so. Zach Carr, haven't talked about him tonight, finished 15th. Jeremy Miller, Garrett Grant, Fambro, Matt Kemp, and Alex Bell round out the top 20.
And down through 30 there's Cedric Hunter in the number 70 Ford. Rafe Slate ended up 24th after having to start at the tail of the field. David Weishart 26th. Commendable what he did to hit pit lane, knowing he's given up, I guess you could call it a chance, even with those tires being very, very old. And then run down to the rest of the order with drivers that didn't have such a good day. Brad Slaughter Jr. caught up in the late crash, 35th. Doesn't really represent the run he had. And the 60 and the 30 got tangled a whole bunch of times, but that's the rest of your running order. Let's chat with our second place finisher, Jake Nichols. For the second time this week, you're involved in a photo finish. This one, 18 thousandths of a second, not quite as close as on Monday, but hey man, that was fun to watch. Take us through that battle there with Philip all the way to the end.
It was fun to drive. The car was really weird all night. It wore tight one run, more loose another run, and I messed up my Q lap, and I felt like I was going to run in the mid to high 20s, probably start around there, and knowing we were probably going to have wheel spin, I just didn't feel comfy with that. I wanted to just start. I'd rather start in the back, save tires, knowing how much tires mattered after 20 laps. And we played the strat perfect. I mean, we stayed out in the first yellow, trying to save a set. I lost last season here because of guys that saved a set, so I was like, let me put myself on that strat. And it got us to the front after starting 41st. I think we had the speed to maybe have a chance at Phil if we stayed green there late. but it was really hard to pass late in that race, and I was just trying to protect both of us. At the end of the day, that's a 1-2 for 609 3 weeks in a row. So amazing stuff. Our Team USA cars looked awesome, drove awesome. I thought I had them there for a second. If there was a little more side draft, I think it would have been a lot closer. I think it would have been closer to Monday and Tuesday, but we'll take it. It's a 1-2 after starting in the back, avoiding a lot of carnage at the beginning. But we finally got some green flag racing there and had a good time with our teammate.
Good stuff. Jake Nichols, second place tonight by a nose. Jake, thanks for talking.
Thank you.
All right, let's chat now with the race winner, Philip Groner, by 18 one-thousandths of a second. You beat out your teammate there. You're going to continue a solid start to the season. First, second, first. Not a bad start. Man, that had to be nerve-wracking there. Take us through those last few laps.
Oh, yeah. It was very nerve-wracking with one of the best behind me. But I knew once I got in front of him, just don't let him get to my right rear, and I'd have a chance. And I knew he was thinking that I was going to go to the bottom 3 and 4, so I just stuck it on the outside and hoped for the best.
Tonight we had kind of a bunch of yellows early on, but then we had some long green flag runs, and it seemed like there were some comers and goers as far as the tires were concerned. Some drivers, like Jeff Wright, seemed to fire out pretty good, and then mid-run weren't very good, and then would come back. How was your car over the course of the run, and how much did it change from beginning to end?
Built really tight. Tires are definitely huge. Tried to save early on. I didn't want to fall too far back. Eventually it swung loose, really loose. I'm glad that caution came out when it did to get tires back. And on that last restart, I knew if I cleared Jake, just keep giving him dirty air and it'll be tough for him to pass. And yeah, another 1-2 finish for 609. Hell of a race with Jake. That was a ton of fun. I love when the track temp's hot like that. It's really in the driver's hands.
It was really, really hot out there, Phil. Congratulations on the win. First, second, first. Not a bad start. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. John Forbes Jr. comes home in third place, right behind a pretty epic battle for the win. John, tonight was a really solid race. You were only as low as 7th place in the green flag running. Most of the chaos in the tail end was behind you, but just needed a little bit more. What'd you need to catch those front two?
Yeah, they had it pretty well put together there. They're being teammates, so yeah, I kind of did all I could to try to just kill on the right front, trying to get by somebody that was running the outside. Finally cleared them, and from there it was just plowing. So I was like, all right, we got up to third. We're gonna take that solid finish, just get some momentum going, carry on to some following weeks. But overall, it was a great night. Qualified 6th, so had no worries about making the race as an open car. Just knew we were in seeing that result. And yeah, from there we were just trying to keep the momentum going all night. Really didn't have too many mistakes. I think I tapped the wall once, but besides that, it was a really clean night.
Well, that was a fantastic night for you. Connor, you said Hunter's got something to say?
No, I was just because my internet's. I'm trying to make sure my internet's
his
good.
internet's bad. Well, I thought you were maybe throwing me to Hunter for something like he had a question
No.
for John. But anyway, John, great running there tonight. P3's not a bad night at all. Some good points for you to pick up. Congratulations, and we'll see you at Dover next week.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I'll see you.
Yeah, I thought when you said something going red, I thought it was something to do with the paint scheme. Maybe there was something I wasn't getting there. All good. With that, wow, what a night. We did see or hear of some drama in the back between the 22 and the 97. Connor, take me through the tail end of this.
Well, not between the 22 and 97, 22 and 14. 97 had something different go on. I think he just crashed on purpose, but something that happened on the final lap, Trey Eitzen did not appreciate from Connor O'Kresick. As you'll see, he just spins him around. Not sure what. Maybe down the back here. Let's see, Hunter.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand why this happened in the first place. Maybe did he get put in the wall?
Let's see,
That might have been
O'Kresick
it.
to the inside. Oh, yeah, okay. Kind
Yeah, a
of
little
shoves him into
contact
the
there.
corner. A little bump and run for third on the final lap. And yeah, it's aggressive. And Eitzen definitely, I think, has a point to be frustrated with for that one.
Yep. Well, anyways, we'll see what comes of that after this weekend or this week's racing. But we got through Charlotte, boys, and next week we head to the Monster Mile, Dover, Delaware. Oh boy, continue the East Coast trend. But Connor, next week it is a challenging racetrack. The concrete canyons of Dover. The monster is hungry. Miles is ready to start chomping on some race cars, and there's quite a few to choose from.
And it might be the first time that I can remember that all 3 series will be at the Monster Mile. Cup, Xfinity, and the Truck Series, the Xfinity Pro Series, same thing. But I'm pretty excited on the Cup side. As a driver, I've won there, and the other 2 series were doing pretty good as well. But it's going to be a pretty interesting challenge, and we'll see what the weather has in store for Dover, because that's going to be a very weather-sensitive track with how Dover is. So I'm pretty excited to see how it races, especially in the Xfinity Series cars. We didn't get a full race there last season because of server issues. Hopefully this season is different, and I already said it, Hunter, but I'll throw it to you because I'm just really excited for Dover.
I'm excited as well. It's a concrete oval, and Miles the Monster is always hungry to eat some mangled up race cars, and we've had big ones all throughout the season. We had one tonight. We had the slow one, as I like to call it. I'm not sure if we'll have the dangerous one, Monster, for Miles the Monster at Dover, but I'm looking forward to it. A phenomenal week of racing all throughout area, photo finishes in every single series. Hopefully we can keep that up, Kyle, but it's going to be difficult because we are heading to
Dover Monster Mile next week, and then a little bit of break from the pace laps. We're going Sonoma, California the week after that. Road racing left and right. I'm excited for that one for sure. We'll see you there at Dover and Sonoma. 1 week the East Coast, the next the West. We'll see you next time in Delaware. Kyle Heyer, Hunter Sleppy, and Connor Horn bringing you the action, and we'll see you on Monday.